Chapter 22-21. Who is this kid? Is he really just a teenager? Or is he an old monster that has lived for countless years? They were more willing to believe the latter. Hell's Ice Lotus. At this moment, Lin Xian waved his sword, and a Hell's Ice Lotus quickly formed and floated in the sky. The terrifying power of ice and fire blended, shattering all the purple runes in the sky. Damn it, this kid actually has the upper hand. Seeing this scene, everyone was even more shocked. When the Peerless Almighty saw that his opponent had actually suppressed him, his face became extremely gloomy. A hint of anger appeared in his eyes. In the next moment he waved his hand. Buzz! Countless purple auras intertwined and condensed above his head. An extremely ancient pagoda formed above him, emitting a mysterious aura. The runes surrounded it, and the moment it appeared, it crushed the void like a mountain. It was extremely terrifying. For Symbol's pagoda, it's actually such a treasure. Seeing this scene, the people of the general's residence exclaimed. Then they all cheered. This is a top-tier Earth-grade treasure. This kid is definitely dead. That's right, the Four Symbols pagoda was extremely powerful and difficult to refine. It was a top-tier Earth-grade treasure. Buzz! In the next moment, the Peerless Almighty activated the Four Symbols pagoda, and 4 different types of power surged out. The power was too terrifying, and it was indestructible. It was going to destroy heaven and earth. It was too terrifying, and no one below the Peerless Almighty could block it. Lin Xian also felt the pressure, but he was fearless. So what if it's a top-tier treasure? I have a heaven-grade treasure sword. Therefore, in the next moment he took a step forward, and his eyes shone with a sharp light. An even more terrifying sword intent surged out from his body. Demon Seal. With a swing of his sword, a terrifying sword light tore through heaven and earth, and collided with the 4 types of energy. Boom! Boom! The void instantly exploded, and terrifying energy swept in all directions. The surrounding ground and mountains quickly shattered, and the kings kept retreating. Below, the general's residence trembled. But at this moment, countless arrays appeared and enveloped the general's residence. This prevented the risk of being destroyed. Obviously, other than the outermost array that was destroyed by the dark red divine dragon, the array in the depths of the general's residence still existed. Moreover, its power was extremely terrifying, and it blocked the violent energy. Boom! The terrifying 4 types of energy were split apart. The terrifying sword light slashed forward, almost hitting that Peerless Almighty being. Fortunately, the Peerless Almighty dodged quickly. However, he retreated to the side with a bewildered expression. His eyes were filled with shock. Damn it! How could this be? What kind of swordsmanship was he using? The Peerless Almighty was completely stunned. He, a dignified Peerless Almighty, had actually been reduced to such a sorry state by a brat. To be honest, he really couldn't accept it. Brat, you've successfully angered me. The powerful being shouted coldly. His eyes were filled with a cold light. I will let you know the true power of a powerful being. Boom! In the next moment, the 4 Symbols pagoda above his head emitted a dazzling light, before fusing into his body. Wang! The 2 merged into one, becoming one. A metallic luster appeared on that Peerless Almighty's body. His terrifying aura suddenly soared, and a powerful force surged out of his body. Brat, be careful. He actually fused with the treasure chi in his hand. At the side, the dark red divine dragon quickly reminded with a grave expression. Lin Xian also frowned. One with the pagoda. He didn't expect this Peerless Almighty to be able to cultivate to such a level. And from the looks of it, the other party was really angry. However, so what? He was no longer the same person as before. Now that his strength had increased tremendously, he didn't fear early-stage 8-star powerful beings at all. Boom! Die, brat! That Peerless Almighty attacked again. With a wave of his palm, terrifying energy surged and the void exploded instantly. This palm contained the terrifying energy of the 4 Symbols pagoda. It transformed into a dragon that roared in the void. Lin Xian quickly brandished the ancient dragon abyss sword to contend with it. Streaks of sword chi crisscrossed the sky like lightning, and collided with the other party's fist. Boom! 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 There was a burst of dazzling light, and the entire sky was filled with clanging sounds. Bang! 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 The two of them exchanged blows, and it was earth-shattering. However, after more than 10 exchanges, that peerless almighty screamed in agony. The reason for that was because his fist had directly split open. Several cracks had appeared on it. In fact, even his white bones were exposed. Blood instantly dyed the void red. Damn it! How was this possible? The peerless almighty's expression was extremely ugly. In the distance, those people from the general's residence were all stunned when they saw this scene. They couldn't even believe it. Damn brat, who exactly are you? That peerless mighty figure's gaze was like lightning as he stared fixedly at Lin Xian. He was too shocked. One had to know that he was a peerless almighty. His body was extremely strong, and ordinary attacks couldn't break through his defense at all. Moreover, now that he had merged with the Four Symbols Pagoda, his defense had greatly increased. Even a peerless almighty of the same level would find it difficult to injure him. But now, after exchanging dozens of blows with the other party had actually shattered his fist. This was simply too unbelievable. He didn't know that the ancient dragon abyss sword in Lin Xian's hand was a heaven-grade treasure sword. Moreover, Lin Xian's great dragon sword soul had terrifying attack power. Such attack power was definitely beyond the imagination of a peerless almighty. Brat, do you know that this is General Xianying's residence? General Xianying is the younger brother of the current empress. He's the uncle of the current first prince. If you offend such a person, you'll never have a foothold in the Tai dynasty. If you leave now, I can let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, what awaits you is a dead end. Why? You can't beat me. So now you want to use the name of the empress and the first prince to suppress me. But it's a pity that these titles are of no use to me. Today, I'm here to take over General Xianying's residence. So, hurry up and kneel in the void to welcome me. Otherwise, if you anger me, don't blame me for starting a massacre. Blood stains the general's residence. After hearing Lin Xian's words, these people's minds went blank. What was going on? Was he really going to fight the general's residence to the end? Thinking of this, the peerless almighties behind them couldn't hold back anymore. They said, Elder, let's attack together and kill this brat. Although he's powerful, there are only two of us. I don't believe that he can fight against so many of us. Yes, that's right. Kill him. The other almighties also shouted angrily, because previously, they were too aggrieved and scared out of their wits by a young man. If word of this got out, how could they live in the future? Therefore, they decided to get rid of this brat. Even if they couldn't defeat him alone, they would join forces to kill him. Chapter 22:22. They decided to get rid of that kid. Even if they couldn't defeat him alone, they would work together to kill him. Attack! The peerless mighty figure's eyes flickered. He did not refuse. The kid in front of him was too strange. Next to him was a snake. He did not know how strong it was. He had to get rid of the other party quickly. Otherwise, the longer it dragged on, the more the general's residence would lose face. Go to hell, kid. Behind him, the mighty figures were also shocked when they heard that. Although they were no match for the other party in a one-on-one battle. But now, with a group of people attacking together, they would definitely kill the other party. Boom! Among them, 3 top mighty figures joined forces and attacked Lin Xian. 5 elite mighty figures joined forces and attacked the dark red divine dragon. The void was instantly shattered, and terrifying energy surged out. Why, you want to join forces? Do you think I'm afraid of you? The dark red divine dragon roared. He had already recovered to the realm of a mighty figure, and could use the divine powers of dragons. Why would he be afraid of these elite mighty figures? In the next moment, his body suddenly expanded and transformed into a divine dragon that was 1,000 feet long. Then, his dragon tail rolled forward like a river and blasted in front of him. Boom! Those elite mighty figures vomited blood and were sent flying. Their faces were filled with shock. Damn it! A dragon! He's a dragon! Those elite mighty figures were filled with fear. They originally thought that the other party was a snake or a loach. But now it seemed that they were completely wrong. However, someone shook his head. Impossible! How could there be a real dragon? At most, he has the bloodline of dragons. Perhaps he's a flood dragon. Legend had it that a real flood dragon was full of treasures. Capture him, pull out his tendons, drink his blood, eat his flesh. That will help us break through. Those elite mighty figures stared at the dark red divine dragon with bloodshot eyes, as if they had heard a treasure. They thought that it was a flood dragon. If they knew that the dark red divine dragon was a real dragon, they would probably go crazy. What? How dare you have designs on me? You're courting death. The dark red divine dragon was also furious. These guys actually want to eat my flesh and drink my blood? They really don't know what's good for them. The next moment he sneered. Let me send you on your way first. Soon, the dark red divine dragon spat out streaks of dragon flames. At the same time, it brandished its dragon claws and charged forward. On the other side, the three pinnacle almighties were also charging towards Lin Xian. When the three of them joined forces, their power was terrifying. Moreover, there was a peerless almighty at the side who was eyeing them covetously. He was ready to strike at any moment. It could be said that Lin Xian's current situation was even more dangerous than the dark red divine dragon. Lin Xian did not dare to be careless. He immediately summoned the dragon sword domain to cover the surroundings. Terrifying sword chi crisscrossed, forming a screen of light that protected him. At the same time, his body swayed, and he instantly dodged the attacks of the three top almighties. The three peak powerhouses missed their target, but they didn't give up. Instead they sneered, "Kid, you can't escape. Today is the day you die." As they spoke, they attacked even more ferociously. In the sky, afterimages were torn apart one after another, as terrifying energy blasted out in all directions. However, at this moment, Lin Xian's dragon sword domain was also activated. Terrifying sword chi appeared in the sky, transforming into the phantoms of heavenly rocks, Qilins, true dragons, phoenixes and other divine beasts. That terrifying power made the hearts of these top almighties tremble. As a result, these top almighties had no choice but to activate their king domains to resist. Damn it, how could this kid be so powerful? Seeing this scene, the three top almighties had the urge to curse. At this moment, the peerless almighty also made his move. Originally, he was disdainful of being surrounded. After all, he had a noble status. But now, seeing that the three top almighties couldn't even take down the other party, he was furious. The peerless almighty's face was gloomy. In the next moment, he decisively made his move. The peerless almighty's attack greatly increased the pressure on Lin Xian. For a moment, he was surrounded by danger, and was almost hit by the palm. Fortunately, he was fast enough, and was only grazed by the palm wind. Even so, he still kept retreating, the blood in his body churning. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. At this point, Lin Xian's great dragon sword soul began to circulate wildly. At the same time, a terrifying energy erupted in his body. Demon Seal. Battle Song. Lin Xian suddenly unleashed two powerful attacks towards the peerless almighty. Boom! The peerless almighty was sent flying. At the same time, he charged towards the three top almighties. Boom boom boom. The dragon sword domain completely erupted, and countless sword chi descended, forcing the three top almighties to separate. At this moment, Lin Xian waved his hand, and countless sea gods' ice erupted, forming a terrifying world of ice that enveloped two of the top almighties. Only one was left. Go to hell. The great dragon sword soul in Lin Xian's body erupted, and the dragon source ancient sword mercilessly slashed down. This attack was incomparably terrifying. Even the top almighties would feel their scalps go numb if they saw it, let alone the top almighties. Therefore, this pinnacle mighty figure screamed as he was split in half. The armor on his body was also split open by the sword. Boom boom boom. On the other side, the two top almighties broke through the ice wall and charged out. But soon they were stunned, because their companion had been killed by the other party. Instantly, they were so scared that their scalps went numb. Buzz. However, at this moment, a golden light suddenly pierced into their souls, and they seemed to have lost control of their souls, and fell into a momentary daze. Poof! When they recovered, two heads had already flown into the air. Damn it, how could this be? The almighties who were watching the battle from afar were all scared out of their wits when they saw this scene. Three top almighties were killed just like that. This kid was too terrifying. Not only was he powerful, but he also had rich combat experience. It could be said that it was far beyond their imagination. Perhaps no one below the top almighties was a match for this kid. They were terrified and did not dare to attack him again. However, at this moment, the top almighty charged over again. Previously, he was sent flying by two sword chi and was injured. Chapter 22-23. This lightning was too terrifying. Not only did it contain the power of a peerless almighty, but it also contained the power of the four symbols pagoda. The two combined into one, forming a monstrous attack. Lin Xian naturally felt threatened. He instantly activated the ice shield, and the terrifying ice goddess statue formed. Its huge wings enveloped him. At the same time, the dragon sword domain quickly shrunk, completely enveloping him. Countless sword chi surrounded him, forming a sword Dao world. Boom! Boom! The thunder that filled the sky blasted on the ice goddess statue, producing violent sounds. Then the ice goddess statue was penetrated. Boom! 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 The terrifying ice aura dimmed the power of the thunder. In fact, many of them were even frozen. However, the four symbols divine thunder still passed through the ice aura and attacked Lin Xian again. Clang! The sword chi around Lin Xian was extremely sharp. It destroyed all the lightning, and none of them could get close to him. Seeing this scene, the kings of the general's residence were all stunned. Their scalps went numb. Although they knew that the other party was very powerful, they did not expect him to be so powerful. It was far beyond their imagination. The other party was only a young man in his 20s, but he actually had the battle strength of a peerless almighty. It was simply too shocking. Kill. Kill quickly. Form a formation. Cooperate with the killing formation, and attack together. Kill him for me. The peerless almighty in front roared. Kill. Soon, the almighty kings from the general's mansion rushed over. Some of them joined forces, some formed a formation, and some directly controlled the killing formation to attack Lin Xian. Boom! 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 A terrifying energy burst out, but the result left them extremely shocked. This was because the young man in front of them was ridiculously powerful. It was completely beyond their imagination. A casual sword chi from the other party was like the Milky Way, crushing the surroundings and shattering all of their attacks. How was he human? He was simply like a sword god that had descended into the mortal world. Poof! An elite almighty wielded a long saber and attacked together with the formation. However, he was directly cut in half by the other party's sword chi. Blood splattered, dyeing the void red. Damn it! He was too powerful. The others were pale and trembling. Boom! Another earth-shattering sound rang out. 4 elite powerhouses had joined forces to form a killing formation. They descended from the sky, wanting to envelop him. This killing formation was incomparably terrifying. It carried with it a shocking killing aura that pierced through the void. However, it was still useless. After being sliced apart by the other party's sword, it turned into spiritual energy that filled the air and scattered in all directions. As for the 4 elite almighties, they spat out blood and flew backwards. Damn it, impossible! Who are you? Who are you? These people were all crazy, screaming nonstop. They simply couldn't believe that a young man could be so powerful. Who am I? Who do you think I am? Lin Xian sneered. Meanwhile, the more these people looked, the more shocked they became. Damn it, could it be someone from the war clan? After thinking about it, they realized that only the legendary war race could produce such a young genius. Other than that, it was impossible for anyone else to do so. However, why did the battle race want to take action against their general manner? This shouldn't be the case. Thus, he shouldn't be someone from the war clan. However, if it wasn't the war race, then who could it be? Which young man could be so heaven-defying? They really couldn't figure it out. However, Lin Xian sneered. Why don't you recognize me? Your general manner sent so many almighties to hunt me down. And now you don't recognize me? What? Hunt you down? These almighties were stunned, and then their expressions changed drastically. Damn it, could it be you? They were extremely shocked because they thought of a person. A young demon king. A person who was wanted by the Tai dynasty. A person who killed the Golden Lion King. Thinking of this, they came to a realization. Perhaps only such a demon king would have such terrifying strength. The other party could even kill a peerless genius of the war clan. One could imagine how terrifying he was. However, wasn't this kid being hunted down? Why would he appear here? And he wanted to cause trouble in their general manner? Could it be that this kid wanted to take revenge? It seems that you have recognized who I am. Since you know who I am, then you should know what will happen to you. Obediently kneel on the ground and surrender. Otherwise, don't blame me for massacring the general manor. What, you really suppressed the general manor? Hearing that, these people felt as if they had fallen into an ice cave, and their bodies began to tremble. They did not expect the other party to be so arrogant. That was the general manor. General Xianying's manor was not inferior to the king's manor. However, a young man had come knocking on their door and threatened to suppress them. If news of this spread, how would the general manor survive in the future? However, the other party was too powerful. Even the peerless almighties could not kill him. He was definitely a murderous fiend. Therefore, they really could not do anything to him for a while. Could it be that the general manor was really going to be suppressed? Ah, damn it! Impossible! Kill him for me! Someone roared angrily, and his body emitted a terrifying light. Many kings' domains soared into the sky and enveloped the surroundings. At that moment, more than 10 kings' domains flickered in the sky, and light danced in the sky, completely sealing the entire space. Use your king's domains. Use your cultivation base to suppress. Although his combat strength was powerful, his cultivation base was not high. The king's domains crazily charged toward Lin Xian. In fact, the peerless almighty also activated a king's domain and flew over quickly. Lin Xian sneered. His body flickered, and he was the first to dodge the almighty's domain. However, he could not be bothered to dodge the other king's domains. Buzz! The dragon source ancient sword was swung, and the void was cut in half. Then the king's domain of an almighty was directly split apart. Not only that, the light that filled the sky disappeared, and at the same time, a scream was heard. That elite almighty was also slashed into a bloody mist by the sword. Seeing this scene, everyone's scalps went numb. Some of the ordinary almighties even began to flee into the distance. The other party was too terrifying. Killing almighties was like cutting grass. How would they dare to stay here? However, in the next moment they screamed. That was because they realized that they could only escape a few thousand miles away. They could not go any further. An incomparably terrifying and mysterious array completely enveloped the entire general manor. It cut off all their escape routes. What? The general manor was completely sealed. Damn it! Seeing this scene, the almighty's faces were extremely gloomy. They did not expect the other party to be so decisive and completely seal the entire general manor. When did the other party make a move? How could there be such an exquisite array? They did not dare to imagine. Chapter 22-24. Seeing this, even the faces of the two almighties turned gloomy. Ruffian dragon attack. Use the killing formation and kill them all. Lin Xian said coldly. At the same time, his dragon sword domain surged out and collided with the other domains in the sky. Instantly, cracking sounds could be heard. Countless king domains were instantly shattered. The dragon sword domain was too powerful. Countless dragon-shaped sword chi surged out from within. It contained the power of the dragon sword soul, and had the power to split the heavens and earth. The king domains of the almighties could not withstand it at all. Lin Xian charged forward like a god of death, as he chased after the almighties. Damn it! Stop it! At the sight of this, the four symbols kings let out a furious roar. He quickly chased after Lin Xian, but Lin Xian was too fast. He could not catch up to him for a while. This made him go crazy. He could only watch as his subordinates were killed one by one in the sky. On the other side, the dark red dragon also made its move. It opened its mouth and spat out killing formations one after another. These slaughtering formations were all prepared by it beforehand. Now that it was unleashed, it was extremely terrifying. The other supreme being, the demonic crystal guru, roared furiously as well as he launched an attack. He wanted to destroy these killing formations. However, as soon as these killing formations appeared, they covered all directions. Even though he destroyed some of them, More of them surrounded the remaining almighties. Ah! 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 Miserable screams could be heard one after another. It was extremely miserable. Soon, countless people were pierced by these killing formations, and blood flowed out profusely. A rain of blood fell from the sky above the general's residence. It was unusually bloody, and carried a monstrous pungent smell. Boom! The commotion here finally alarmed the general's residence below. Countless martial artists rushed over. But the weaker ones were directly killed by the energy that filled the sky. However, this was the mysterious general's residence after all. Its status was comparable to that of a king's residence. There were still many experts here. At this moment, a large group of people rushed over from the depths of the general's residence. They were murderous like gods of war as they surged over. Boom! 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 As soon as they appeared, these people attacked and shattered all the killing formations in the surroundings. The energy in the sky was torn apart, and the terrifying light disappeared. The sky regained its clarity once again. However, when they saw the scene in the sky, their expressions all changed. Their faces were terrifyingly gloomy. Those King Realm Almighties from before were all killed, their corpses turning into blood mist. Other than Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon, there were only 2 almighties left in the general's residence. Damn it, who are you, kid? How dare he be so cruel? The warriors who came later roared crazily. Up ahead, Master Magic Crystal said coldly. He is the one we are looking for. Capture him. Then we will have made a great contribution. What? It was actually that brat. He actually dared to come here. When those people heard this, they were also extremely shocked. They couldn't believe it. However, in the next moment, their eyes shone with a terrifying light. That was great. They had long known that capturing this brat would bring them great benefits. Therefore, at this moment, they were all extremely excited. However, at this moment, Master Magic Crystal said coldly again, "Don't act rashly. He is not simple. Otherwise, we wouldn't have lost so many people. Don't worry, Elder, we won't be careless." Formation. Behind him, a middle-aged man and woman walked out. One was wearing a white robe, while the other was wearing a green robe. Both of their auras were extremely powerful. They were top almighties. The 6 of them had a biting cold aura. Their eyes emitted a cold light, and there was no emotion on their faces. They carried long sabers on their backs, and were like killing gods. Clang! The 6 black-robed men pulled out their long sabers. Saber light instantly erupted. The 6 of them merged into one, and instantly charged forward. Every member of the Blade group was an extremely terrifying Saber King. At this moment, the 6 of them even used the 6-direction saber technique. When the 6 of them merged into one, their strength was countless times stronger than before. Buzz! The ancient dragon abyss sword in Lin Xian's hand instantly expanded, turning into a giant sword that was 100 feet long, and slashed down crazily. Clang! Clang! The sabers in the 6 people's hands collided with the ancient dragon abyss sword, and were all broken. Puff! The 6 black-robed swordsmen also vomited blood, and were sent flying. Their expressions finally changed. Their faces were filled with fear and shock. Chapter 22-25. One had to know that each of them had an upper-grade Earth-class artifact in their hands. However, at this moment, they were like pieces of paper that were shattered. However, this was not the end. The ancient dragon abyss sword roared as if it had turned into a giant dragon. It transformed into 6 dragon-shaped sword auras that instantly split the bodies of the 6 men apart. Puff! 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 The bodies of the 6 men in black fell to the ground, kicking up dust. Blood dyed the ground red. The people around him went crazy. These 6 men were extremely terrifying Saber Kings. They were extremely powerful. This was the killing move of the Wang residents. However, it had been easily broken by someone else. In front of that giant sword, any treasured weapon or saber technique would be useless. It was a direct suppression. Nothing could stop it. Damn brat. The general's residence will not let you off. An elite powerhouse saw this scene and roared crazily. Hearing this, Lin Xian snorted and flicked his finger. Buzz! A sword wave flew out. Puff! That elite powerhouse's eyebrow blood splattered as he fell into a pool of blood. At this moment, Lin Xian strode forward, as if he wanted to enter the general's residence. Damn it, stop him. Angry roars could be heard as the four symbols king stretched out a huge palm that covered the sky, trying to imprison Lin Xian in the void. Boom. Whoosh. However, Lin Xian's speed was too fast. He only left behind an afterimage, as his real body had already entered the general's residence. Boom. Sword auras flew out from Lin Xian's body and slashed forward. Boom. 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 The surrounding buildings, pavilions, and halls of the general's residence were split into pieces. Huge rocks rolled and the terrifying ground cracked open. The terrifying sound shocked everyone. The surrounding martial artists were all dumbfounded. Was this guy really trying to tear down the general's residence? Damn it! He really deserved to die. Kill! Kill him for me! More experts rushed out from the general's residence. They saw this scene and roared crazily. Countless arrays lit up in the surroundings. Some were defensive, some were offensive. The sky was filled with runes that flashed with terrifying power. However, all of this could not stop Lin Xian's sword light. In an instant, everything that got close to him was split apart. Not only that, a sword wave spread out in all directions with him as the center. Everywhere it passed, the void was mercilessly split apart. Buzz! Lin Xian's hands. The terrifying eyes were very illusory, but when he appeared, it still caused fear in the people of the general's residence. Everyone looked. Everyone was going crazy. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was forming seals with his hands. Soon a smile appeared on his face. This illusory, I was the illusion of the heavenly secrets Abhijna. It was imprinted in the void. His goal was naturally to find that super teleportation array. As expected, Lin Xian soon found it. The illusory eye in the sky disappeared. Lin Xian's figure shot forward like a bolt of lightning. Ruffian dragon, over here! Lin Xian called out as he flew. The dark red dragon swung his tail and sent more than 10 people flying. At the same time, his dragon claws tore through the void and quickly followed. Damn it! Stop them! We must stop them! The experts from the general's residence roared crazily. They did not know what those two fellows were trying to do. However, they knew that they could not let those two fellows enter the depths of the general's residence. Boom! 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 Tens of thousands of lightning bolts descended from the sky. The terrifying energy shattered the void. On the other side, a sea of fire surged into the sky. Behind them, hundreds of saber lights mercilessly slashed down like the Milky Way. However, Lin Xian only swung his sword once, and all the terrifying energy in the world was destroyed. Countless large cracks appeared in the void and spread into the distance. A few cultivators were even swallowed by the cracks. How terrifying! The cultivators from the general's residence were terrified. However, this time, they did not escape. They still wanted to stop them. The Godly Spear team. More than 10 figures soared into the sky. They were tall and held red spears in their hands. Their auras were like demonic beasts that shot into the sky. The spears in their hands were like dragons that pierced through the void. In an instant, dazzling spear lights covered the sky and enveloped Lin Xian and the dark red Shenlong. The dark red dragon swung its tail and sent all the spear lights on his side flying. On the other side, Lin Xian formed a seal and used the great dragon sword Soul to simulate the war tribe's seal of fearless lion. A golden lion flew out from Lin Xian's fingertip and roared in all directions. The terrifying sound waves turned into golden waves that surged in all directions. Boom! The spear lights that filled the sky turned into countless fragments and dissipated. Puff! 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 More than 10 godly generals spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Countless cracks appeared on their bodies. Many of them directly collapsed and turned into a bloody mist. Damn brat, you're too arrogant. Behind them, the four symbols king roared angrily. His body suddenly exploded with light, and his speed instantly increased. He must have used some kind of secret technique to catch up to Lin Xian. Soon he blocked the path. On the other side, the demonic crystal venerable also appeared in front of the dark red dragon. These two peerless almighties were really angry now. The four symbols king unleashed the four symbols pagoda. It floated in the palace and emitted a shocking murderous aura. On the other side, the demonic crystal venerable took out a black bottle. The black bottle was engraved with runes and had an extremely cold aura. In the next moment, the demonic crystal venerable opened the bottle and injected power into it. Buzz! The bottle emitted light, and a black poisonous scorpion crawled out of the bottle. The scorpion was extremely black and crystal clear like black jade. It was only the size of a palm. The moment it appeared, its eyes lit up with a scarlet light. The tail behind his back was also raised high, and his body was emitting an incomparably terrifying aura. This aura made everyone's hair stand on end. Although it was only the size of a palm, it was an extremely terrifying scorpion. It could even threaten the peerless almighties. Go kill him. The demonic crystal venerable waved his finger, and the black scorpion flew out. It quickly charged towards the dark red dragon. On the other side, the Four Symbols King activated the Four Symbols Pagoda. Buzz! The pagoda rapidly expanded. Chapter 22-26. Boom! 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 There was a huge explosion of energy and thunderous sounds could be heard. The two collided, and a blast of air swept out in all directions. Although the general's residence was protected by a defensive array formation, the buildings still collapsed. It couldn't be helped. This was the attack of a peerless almighty, and it was too terrifying. However, in the next moment, the people in the general's residence screamed. All of them were terrified. Even the Four Symbols King's face darkened. That was because he realized that his Four Symbols Pagoda had been sent flying, and it crashed into the void, creating a terrifying black hole. Damn it, how can he be so powerful? The Four Symbols King's face darkened. He realized that he couldn't suppress the other party. Lin Xian was also surprised. The Four Symbols Pagoda was definitely a top-notch treasure. His Dragon Abyss Valley ancient sword had only sent it flying, and there were no cracks on it at all. This was something that had never happened before. As expected of a peerless almighty's treasure, it was indeed much more powerful than ordinary top-notch almighties. Humph! Lin Xian sneered. Since you're courting death by blocking my path, I'll fulfill your wish. I'll let you have a taste of my ultimate move. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. He was about to use his ultimate move, but at that moment, his heart thumped wildly, and a sense of danger rose from the bottom of his heart. Whoosh! In the next moment, he immediately left his original spot without hesitation and dodged to the side. Buzz! Boom! Just as he was about to move, a black bolt of lightning instantly pierced through the void he was in. The armor on his body was also grazed by the black lightning, and countless cracks immediately appeared. Fortunately, he had more than one defense. Although his armor was shattered, the sword qi on the surface of his body blocked the black energy. Even so, Lin Xian was still frightened. That was because it was too dangerous. If he was any slower, he would have been hit by the black flash, and he would definitely be seriously injured. It might even pierce through his body. Damn it, what the hell is that? Lin Xian was bewildered and looked at the place where he was originally standing. In the next moment he was stunned. It was because he discovered that it was a black scorpion. It was the size of a palm and looked like black jade. Wasn't this the scorpion released by that peerless almighty earlier? Damn it! He had originally thought that he would attack the dark red divine dragon. Who would have thought that this fellow's target would actually be him? Thinking of this, Lin Xian's face darkened. The dark red divine dragon was taken aback as well. Then it cursed holy sh*t, how shameless. 2 against 1. He did not expect these two peerless almighties to join forces to kill Lin Xian. On the other side, the faces of the two peerless mighty figures were dark. Previously, when they had made their move, they had secretly communicated with one another, and decided that the two of them would work together to eliminate one of them first. This way the pressure on them would be greatly reduced. Therefore they set their sights on Lin Xian. However, he did not expect Lin Xian's reaction to be so sharp and quick. In the blink of an eye, he dodged the sure kill attack. Damn it, let's attack together. Kill him! Venerable Magic Crystal roared angrily as he formed hand seals with his palms. The black scorpion once again turned into a bolt of lightning and charged over. On the other side, the Four Symbols Kings activated the Four Symbols Pagoda and launched 4 terrifying attacks. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. He was really angry. He held the ancient dragon abyss sword and quickly launched it. Buzz! With a slash of the sword, the terrifying chaotic sword chi slashed forward like the Milky Way and blocked the attack of the four symbols pagoda. That was not the end. Lin Xian quickly waved his arm. 8 streaks of sword chi flew over quickly one after another. The sword light was like a stormy sea, bringing with it endless air waves that tore the void apart. Clang! Boom! 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 One sword fell and another rose. Each streak of sword chi was even more powerful than the previous one. It was like a wave that appeared one after another. Damn it! On the other side, the four symbols king's face darkened, and he was extremely shocked. That was because he had suffered a great impact. The other party's sword light was continuous. After the first sword strike, the second sword strike soon fell. Moreover, the power of the second sword strike was even more violent than the previous one. In that case, he could not block the ninth sword strike at all. Not only him, but Magic Crystal Venerable's face also darkened. That was because the other party had launched 9 streaks of sword chi in a row. It was like a wave that suppressed the entire space. His black scorpion was also under great threat. It could not break through, let alone kill the other party. Humph! 2 shameless old men. You want to fight me together? Impossible. I'll kill you. The dark red divine dragon also flew over. It raised its huge head and roared. Roar! 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 The terrifying dragon's roar was earth-shattering. It shook the surrounding warriors and made their blood boil. Their faces were extremely pale. In the sky, the black scorpion also stopped moving. It no longer flew quickly, and even began to tremble. It looked as if it was kneeling before its king. Damn it! How was that possible? Magic Crystal Venerable's face changed drastically when he saw that. The black scorpion was called the Ink Jade Scorpion. It was an extremely terrifying ancient mutated species. Its speed was extremely fast. Moreover, it was highly poisonous. Even a powerful being would die from the poison if they were hit. It could be said that it was extremely terrifying. It was an ancient mutated species that had the power of bloodline. Even a powerful being would not be able to make it tremble. However, the other party's roar made his scorpion tremble. It could not help but kneel. This was simply too shocking and unbelievable. Boom! It made the other party reveal its true form and make it tremble. At that moment, the dark red divine dragon laughed. He slapped the scorpion away with his claw. Countless cracks had appeared on his black body, and black blood was even flowing out from them. As soon as it landed, it corroded the entire ground. All the trees and plants in the surroundings withered. Damn it! Run! It's highly poisonous. The surrounding martial artists fled frantically. A few of them who were too slow were covered by the black aura. Their bodies quickly decayed. In the end, not even their bones were left. They turned into a pool of black blood. Seeing that, everyone was terrified and did not dare to approach. Damn it! Magic Crystal Venerable roared when he saw that the Ink Jade Scorpion was injured. He waved his arm. He made use of the black liquid that dripped down. It turned into black poisonous needles and flew towards Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon. Wherever it passed, the void would be pierced, and black holes would appear one after another. From this, one could imagine how potent the toxicity of the black blood was. Whoosh! The dark red divine dragon opened its mouth and spat out balls of dragon flame. He was a dragon. So what if the other party was strong? Could it be that the power of the bloodline was more powerful than his? He did not believe it. The dragon flame was indeed the nemesis of the black poison. It instantly burned the black blood. Damn it! How is that possible? Chapter 22-27. He realized that this dark red flood dragon was simply too strange. It's ridiculously powerful. Could it be an ancient mutant too? He could not figure it out. But soon he exclaimed again. Not only the dark red dragon, but Lin Xian's sword chi had also destroyed the black blood. Damn it! How did he do it? The venerable magic crystal was going crazy. If the dark red dragon could do it, he could accept it. He felt that Lin Xian had an extraordinary background and was very likely an ancient mutant beast. But how did this brat do it? He's just a human. How can he have such a powerful sword chi? He could not believe it. However, He did not have time to think, because Lin Xian's ultimate move was coming at him again. The ancient dragon abyss sword in Lin Xian's hand suddenly emitted a sharp light, as if a peerless beast had awakened. The sharpness of the sword instantly increased. Damn it! There's something wrong with this sword. The venerable magic crystal and the four symbols kings immediately changed their expressions. They felt a chill down their spines and a deathly threat. They did not know what the sword in Lin Xian's hand was, but their instincts told them not to take it head-on. Buzz! 9 runes appeared on the ancient dragon abyss sword in Lin Xian's hand, and one of them quickly disappeared. The aura on the sword had also reached its peak. Oh no, dodge! The two supreme beings' expressions changed when they felt the aura on Lin Xian's longsword suddenly increase. That was because they felt a deathly threat. That feeling was too creepy. They had not felt it for hundreds of years. Who would have thought that he would actually be able to sense it from a junior? Buzz! The ancient dragon abyss sword slashed down, shattering the void. The four symbols king screamed. The four symbols pagoda beside him was instantly blasted away, and a crack appeared on it. Not only that, but he was also in a miserable state. The armor on his body was dented, and more than half of his bones were broken. He crashed into more than 10 palaces. What? A supreme being was sent flying. How is that possible? They were going crazy. They could not believe it. However, the venerable magic crystal also roared and turned to escape. However, how could Lin Xian let him escape? He held the dragon abyss in his hand and swept it out. A terrifying crescent-shaped sword chi flew out. Damn it, block for me! Magic crystal guru roared, and released his king's domain in front of him. His king's domain was a wave of violet gold crystals, and each of them was like a demonic pillar that spun in the sky, giving off a terrifying aura. Unfortunately, this time, it was unable to block Lin Xian's sword chi. This was because Lin Xian had unlocked the first seal on the ancient dragon abyss sword. That power was absolutely terrifying. Thus, in the blink of an eye, the demonic crystal guru's king's domain cracked. As for the magic crystal guru, he spat out mouthfuls of blood and cut a sorry figure. Boom! In the next moment, he was also sent flying backwards, smashing into a dozen pavilions. Boom! Boom! The earth trembled, countless rocks flew, and dust filled the air. The terrifying sound caused everyone to fall into a daze. This was because they did not dare to imagine that 2 peerless almighties would be sent flying by 2 swords. What kind of method was this? To be able to do that? Who was the other party? That was too terrifying. At the side, dark red Shenhong sneered. The general's residence was just SFO. Today, I'll wash your general's residence with blood. I'll let you know the consequences of offending us. As he spoke, he swung his dragon tail, which was like a river that swept in all directions. Wherever it passed, the earth cracked, and the arrays in the sky were all shattered. Nothing could withstand the impact. Buzz! Who is it? How dare you cause trouble in my general's residence? In the sky, there was an angry roar. Following that, dozens of figures appeared. Chapter 22-28. Crack! 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 Dark clouds rolled in the sky and heavy rain poured down. A hole seemed to have been torn in the sky. Thunder and rain fell from the sky. It was abnormally terrifying. The power of thunder and lightning was all directed at Lin Xian. On the left, there was a burly man in yellow. He was 3 meters tall, and his muscles bulged like a dragon. His hands kept dancing in the air. Suddenly, yellow mountains appeared in the sky. They were like Mount Tai, tens of thousands of feet tall. They quickly fell and instantly exploded the void, wanting to completely suppress Lin Xian. The person on the right was even more strange. It was a black-robed man with a red ghost mask on his face, and a white soul-summoning banner in his hand. He waved it gently and thousands of vengeful spirits roared, emitting a cold aura, wanting to tear Lin Xian apart. You want to compete with me? Go to hell! Lin Xian shouted coldly and roared at the sky. His black hair danced wildly. He was like a god of death. The ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand kept slashing out. The dragon sword domain on his body quickly cooperated. Boom! With a swing of the sword chi intertwined and turned into a black tortoise. It burned fiercely and instantly knocked away the 10,000 feet tall mountain. Not only that, the black tortoise slapped down. Terrifying black flames pierced through the void and directly smashed the burly man in yellow into ashes. Buzz! The sword moved horizontally, forming an icy wind in the sky. It spread out in all directions, and the terrifying power of ice froze the storm that filled the sky. With another swing of the sword, the terrifying sword light formed a dragon phoenix fire furnace. Black flames spread and burned all the vengeful spirits to death. In the face of the terrifying thunder above his head, Lin Xian's body swayed and directly rushed over. The dragon sword domain swayed beside him and turned into an azure dragon. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it surged and roared. Boom! The azure dragon's shadow was angry and tore all the thunder apart. Not only that, millions of sword lights flew out from Lin Xian's body and slashed in all directions. Puff! 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 The dozen or so experts in the surroundings screamed. They were hit by hundreds of thousands of sword chi and were directly cut into a bloody mist. Damn it, how can he be so strong? I don't believe it. Many people roared madly. However, at this moment an old man walked out. He held a purple pagoda and said coldly, "Everyone help me." The king realm mighty figures of the general's mansion all turned around in shock. This was the demon ceiling pagoda. Everyone exclaimed. Who would have thought that he would even take out such a treasure? The demon ceiling pagoda was an extremely terrifying treasure. Since it was able to seal experts, it contained terrifying Dao patterns. It was extremely terrifying. It was even rumored that it could seal peerless almighties. Now that he had taken it out, the people from the general's residence regained their confidence. Charge! Another dozen or so almighties quickly came to the old man's side. They kept waving their palms, sending streams of spiritual energy into the demon ceiling pagoda. Wang! The demon ceiling pagoda shone with boundless light, and mysterious runes appeared on it. Whoosh! It shot out a purple ray of light, which instantly enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian frowned. He felt a sense of danger and wanted to use the demigods and semidevils. However, a terrifying power instantly sucked him into the demon ceiling pagoda. Boom! The demon ceiling pagoda rotated in the air and landed on the ground. The Dao patterns on it shone even brighter. Ha 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 ha! Seeing this scene, the people from the general's residence finally laughed wildly. Their bodies were stained with blood, but at this moment they were cheering. That was because they had finally captured the young demon king. As expected of the demon ceiling pagoda, a legendary treasure. It was indeed terrifying. They'll be able to completely refine that kid in less than half an hour. At that time, we'll seal that dragon. I want to extract their souls from their bodies. I'll burn them with endless flames. I'll let them suffer for thousands of years. I'll let them know what it means to live a life worse than death. These people looked ferocious. However, at this moment, a cold voice came from the demon ceiling pagoda. What demon ceiling pagoda? In my opinion, it's just a broken pagoda. Do you really think you can seal me? What? Hearing this voice, everyone was stunned. What was going on? How could this kid still speak? They were terrified because legend had it that after entering the demon ceiling pagoda, even peerless almighties would be sealed by a terrifying power. In the end, they would turn into a pool of blood. However, the other party could still speak, and from the looks of it, he didn't seem to have suffered much damage. What was going on? Could it be that the energy in the demon ceiling pagoda was useless against this kid? Impossible. They were about to go crazy. This kid was too strange. The old man's face was even gloomier. He roared angrily. Everyone, let's work together and quickly refine this kid. Okay. The dozen or so almighties nodded. They quickly activated their spiritual power and poured it into the demon ceiling pagoda. Immediately, terrifying Dao patterns flickered, and the demon ceiling pagoda shone brightly. It was like a peerless treasure that kept spinning. Boom! However, at this moment, the demon ceiling pagoda began to tremble violently, and a terrifying sound that sounded like thunder could be heard. The dozen or so almighties' faces turned pale. Damn it, what was going on? These almighties were terrified, while the old man's face was gloomy. Oh no, that kid is trying to break through. Hurry up and suppress him. Don't let him out. Hurry up, everyone come over. Another 20 or so figures came over. Among them were a dozen or so kings, although they were quite weak. Although they were weak, they couldn't care less now. It was always good to be able to add a bit of strength. Immediately, the dozen or so kings joined forces and frantically poured their power into the demon sealing pagoda, wanting to seal Lin Xian. However, at this moment another earth-shattering sound was heard. This time, it was several times stronger than before. Boom! The shockwaves caused the King Realm experts to continuously retreat. Some of the kings even vomited blood. They were terrified. They didn't expect the other party to be so powerful. Damn it! They gritted their teeth and prepared to use their powers again. Boom! 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 Another earth-shattering explosion sounded in front of them. Following that, the incomparably terrifying demon sealing pagoda exploded into pieces. And from inside, a figure rushed out. That person was Lin Xian. As soon as he appeared, he used the chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword. The terrifying sword technique pierced through all directions. He killed all 30 or so almighties. Murderous intent surged from his body, and his eyes flickered with a golden light. He was like a god of death. Those who block me will die. Lin Xian held the ancient dragon abyss sword, and dragon-shaped sword chi surrounded his body as he strode forward. The demon sealing pagoda was indeed powerful, but Lin Xian's great dragon sword soul was even more terrifying. The moment he entered the demon sealing pagoda, he directly sent out the great dragon sword soul. The power of the great dragon sword soul was incomparably terrifying. Coupled with the ancient dragon abyss sword, the power was absolutely shocking. Therefore, although the demon sealing pagoda was powerful, it couldn't resist at all and was directly blown apart. That was why the previous scene happened. Chapter 22-29. Around them, countless figures moved quickly. They did not dare to get close at all. That was because the scene from before had truly shocked them to the core. In the air, Xianfeng looked at the other party with a gloomy face. He did not expect the other party to be so powerful. Could it be that the other party could really massacre the general's mansion? Thinking of this, his face turned gloomy, and he looked to the other side. There, a dark red figure and a white figure were moving freely. The terrifying power also blasted all the martial artists in the general's mansion away. Not only that, the dragon and monkey specifically picked the secret chamber of the general's mansion and robbed many treasures. Seeing this scene, Xianfeng's face became even gloomier. Two beasts actually dared to rob the general's mansion? If this spread out, no one would believe it. However, at this moment, there was another exclamation from below. Not good. Damn it. This kid's target was actually there. Hearing this, Xianfeng also looked down. In the next moment his pupil shrank, because he also discovered Lin Xian's intention. Damn it. This kid's target was actually the super teleportation portal. Could it be that he wanted to escape? Xianfeng's face was gloomy. He naturally knew that the entire Tai dynasty was looking for the other party, and the one who presided over this matter was his elder brother. In addition to the tempting rewards issued by the imperial edict, it could be said that all the experts in the entire Tai dynasty were looking for the other party. Not only that, it was said that the experts from the war tribe were also there. Moreover, these people also knew that the other party was very likely to use the super teleportation portal to escape. Therefore, the 12 main cities were heavily guarded with countless almighties guarding them. As long as the other party dared to enter, they would definitely capture him. However, they did not expect that the other party did not enter the 12 main cities, but came to their general's mansion instead. Other than the 12 main cities, there were super teleportation portals in the duke's mansions. Of course, there was another place which was their general's mansion. Whether it was the duke's mansion or the general's mansion, they were heavily guarded and had many experts. Moreover, they did not think that the other party would dare to come. However, they did not expect the other party to really come. Damn it, this is too much. Does he really think that there is no one in the general's mansion? Xianfeng's face was gloomy and his eyes were red. His body emitted a biting cold murderous intent. The other party actually wanted to use the super teleportation portal to escape. How could he let him succeed? Men, set up the 10-direction killing formation. He absolutely could not let that brat escape. His voice was loud and clear, spreading to every corner of the general's residence. In an instant, countless figures soared into the air and converged in this direction. They quickly took their positions below. Inscriptions lit up under their feet and intertwined on the ground. It formed an incomparably profound array. There were hundreds of people in this formation, and all of them were King Realm experts. At this moment, they had formed a terrifying killing formation together. The energy was truly terrifying to the extreme. The 10-direction killing formation was a formation passed down from ancient times. It was extremely terrifying. It was rumored that once it was used, it could wipe out the 9 heavens 10 earths, no one able to escape. At this moment, seeing that Lin Xian wanted to use the super teleportation formation, Xianfeng could no longer hold it in. He displayed the incomparably terrifying Great Sand Town. Buzz buzz buzz. Sounds rang out one after another as terrifying radiance pierced through heaven and earth. These were all formed from murderous energy. As soon as they came out, they tore apart the sky and quickly flew toward Lin Xian. This was the murderous aura formed by the ancient array. It was extremely terrifying. When Lin Xian saw the array and felt the murderous aura, his face changed. That was because he felt a sense of danger. Moreover, what shocked him even more was that the 10-direction killing formation had sealed off the entire space. Terrifying murderous aura was everywhere, piercing through the void and making it impossible for him to dodge. Humph! Lin Xian snorted. Since he could not dodge, he could only use all his strength to block it. He formed a seal with his palms, and the sea god's ice spread rapidly on his body. The ice goddess appeared, and the terrifying power of ice resisted the murderous aura. Boom boom boom. The power of the sea god's ice was extremely terrifying, as it instantly froze the surroundings. The murderous aura in the sky was completely frozen. At a glance, it was a world of ice and frost. In fact, even the King Almighties below were trembling. Because of this cold aura, their faces turned pale, and the blood in their bodies was about to be frozen. Damn it, this guy has such a strong power of ice. He actually blocked the first layer of murderous aura. Many people were shocked. However, Xianfeng snorted. Don't panic. So what if this guy is strong? The 10-direction killing formation had a total of 10 layers of attacks. Each layer would increase the power by several folds. The fact that he could block the first layer did not mean anything. Don't worry, by the time he reaches the 10th layer, he will definitely die. No one would be able to resist it. Hearing this, the people felt more at ease. Indeed, the 10-direction killing formation had a total of 10 layers of attacks. The power of each layer would increase by several folds. Sure enough, when these people madly circulated their inner strength and poured it into the killing formation, countless murderous aura rose between heaven and earth again. This time, the energy was much stronger than before. It directly broke open the void and formed a terrifying black hole. Hellfire. Seeing the second layer of murderous aura, Lin Xian snorted. Countless black flames surged out and spread in all directions. This was the hellfire. It was extremely terrifying as it burned fiercely and ignited the murderous aura. Under the terrifying power of the flames, the second layer of murderous aura was burned clean. Damn it! Below, those people roared and launched the third layer of murderous aura. Boom boom boom. This time, the murderous aura was extremely terrifying. It was like the Milky Way that descended from the 9 heavens. That energy was absolutely unimaginable. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The energy of the sea god's ice and the hellfire intertwined to form the power of ice and fire to resist the third layer of murderous aura. Then a sharp light burst out from his eyes. His palms danced nonstop, and the power of ice and fire intertwined to form the Hell's Ice Lotus. Under his control, it flew down. He was not a person who would sit and wait for death. Since the other party had attacked, how could he not retaliate? The terrifying Hell's Ice Lotus spun in the air and kept expanding. The power of ice and fire on it quickly bloomed, like a lotus of destruction. As soon as they got close and felt the power of ice and fire, the expressions of the King Almighties below changed. Their faces were all filled with fear. Damn it! Block it for me! These people released the fourth layer of murderous aura. The terrifying murderous aura soared into the sky like a dragon, roaring ferociously. It collided with the Hell's Ice Lotus. The collision of the two caused an earth-shattering rumble. It was like thunder that spread in all directions. The entire sky was blown apart. Terrifying energy swept out, and a large number of palaces collapsed. The general's mansion below was once again heavily damaged. Boom. The fourth layer of murderous aura was too terrifying. Even the Hell's Ice Lotus could not resist it. Chapter 2230. The fourth killing aura was seriously too terrifying. Even the Hell's Ice Lotus could not withstand it. It shattered in an instant. However, the energy formed by its explosion also blocked the attack of the fourth killing aura, causing the killing aura that filled the sky to dissipate into thin air. Humph! The fifth attack, begin for me. In the sky, Xianfeng snorted coldly, his expression grim. The other party was actually able to block 4 killing auras in a row. It was seriously beyond his expectations. One had to know, this was an ancient array formation, 10-directional killing array. Actually, the first killing aura was enough to exterminate a powerhouse. He did not expect that the other party could actually block 4. It was hard for him to believe. But so what? 10 killing auras multiplied. The other party absolutely could not block the following attacks. Sure enough, when the 5th killing aura rushed over, Lin Xian's expression was solemn too. He felt a terrifying aura pervading in the sky. This was still only the 5th killing aura. One could imagine how terrifying the last few auras would be. Boom! 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 The power of ice and fire around him was instantly penetrated and shattered into pieces. Seeing this scene, the faces of those martial artists in the general manner were wild with joy. Penetrated, his defense was penetrated. Haha, this kid is absolutely dead for sure. Fighting for so long, they finally broke the other party's defense. Thinking about it, the killing aura this time would definitely be able to penetrate the other party. Annihilate the other party. Lin Xian also frowned. One had to admit that these 5 killing auras were indeed incomparably terrifying. His power of ice and fire was actually unable to contend with it. Then, adding in the power of thunder and lightning, the power of ice, fire, and lightning in Lin Xian's body, right now all came from the 3-headed hellhound. These 3 types of power were originally of the same origin. So at this moment, Lin Xian displayed a great magical ability and directly fused the 3 types of power together. Boom! 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 In the sky, flames pervaded. Thunder descended. Cold ice drifted down. The terrifying 3 types of power intertwined in the sky, transforming into the 3-headed hellhound, roaring at the sky. Roar! The 3 heads were incomparably hideous. Although it was just an illusion at this moment, it seemed as if it was real, crushing the void. That enormous body made everyone's expression change. Damn it! What was this thing? These people were horrified. 3-headed hellhound. This was the legendary Cerberus. Someone cried out in surprise. Damn it, how did he do it? Kill! Lin Xian roared. He stood on the Cerberus and waved his hand. Wung! 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 The 3 heads began to bombard each other. Boom! Thunder and lightning bolts descended, piercing through the heavens and earth. This came from the middle head. The left head spewed out hellfire, while the right head spewed out terrifying ice. The 3 heads attacked at the same time, and a terrifying energy descended upon the world. These energies collided with the 5th killing intent, causing the heavens to collapse and the earth to split. The aftermath of the energy was like a vast ocean, sweeping in all directions. In the end, the 5th wave of killing intent was blocked. Damn it, he actually blocked it. How is this possible? Dream. I must be dreaming. The people from the general's mansion were all stunned. They looked at the gigantic Cerberus in the sky, as well as Lin Xian's figure. With so many powerful cultivators working together, they unleashed the 10-directional absolute kill formation and unleashed the 5th wave of terrifying killing intent. However, they were unable to injure him at all. They couldn't believe it. Was he still human? Was he really from the younger generation? Perhaps even a peerless almighty couldn't do this. On the other side, Xianfeng's face was gloomy. His body was surging with killing intent. He gritted his teeth and roared. Damn it, The sixth wave of killing intent. Kill him. Boom. The sixth wave of killing intent was extremely terrifying, far surpassing the fifth wave. Therefore, even the Cerberus with 3 types of energy couldn't block it. In the end, it was killed by the sixth wave of killing intent. Humph, without the 3 types of energy, let's see how you block it. Xianfeng snorted. The powerful cultivators from the general's mansion also revealed a sinister smile. The other party's ice, thunder, and fire powers were completely destroyed. This time, the other party should be dead for sure. Strong indeed, but so what? I won't lose to you in terms of offense. Lin Xian snorted. This wasn't a battle of defense but a battle of offense. The 10 directional absolute kill formations terrifying killing intent, each wave stronger than the previous. However, Lin Xian's attack power was even more terrifying. The next instant, he brandished the Dragon Abyss Ancient Sword and unleashed the Chaos Heaven Destroyer Sword Art. Battle Song, Demon Seal. 2 types of ultimate moves were unleashed, directly tearing the sixth wave of attack apart. What? He still had an ultimate move. Damn it, how was this possible? Everyone went crazy. In their view, the other party should be helpless without the 3 types of energy attacks. They didn't expect that the other party actually still had such a heaven-defying sword art. Could it be that the other party couldn't be killed? How was this possible? They went crazy and unleashed the 7th wave of attack again. Chaos Heaven Destroyer Sword, sky-shattering. Lin Xian's body bloomed with incomparable sword light. He launched the 3rd killing move of the Heaven Tier Sword Art. Heaven Tier Sword Art coupled with a Heaven Tier treasure. That power was terrifying to the extreme. Therefore, the 7th wave of sword art was directly shattered, vanishing into the void. Not only that, this time, the swift and fierce sword light annihilated the killing intent, scattering towards the countless figures below. What? He was actually so powerful. Below, those people's scalps tingled. Seeing this scene, their faces turned incomparably pale. Hurry up and condense the 8th wave of killing intent. These people roared crazily. However, the 8th wave of killing intent had yet to condense successfully when this sword light already descended. Boom, boom, boom. The ground split open, and countless cracks appeared. Many people were directly slashed into a bloody mist. There were also some who vomited large mouthfuls of blood from the impact. In an instant, almost 1/3 of the people were killed. Panic. These people were extremely panic-stricken. All of them went crazy. They didn't expect the other party's sword to be so powerful. Damn it, the 9th wave of sword chi. Kill him for me. Kill him for me. Xianfeng roared crazily. His face was terrifying. In his view, when the 5th wave of killing intent was released, it should be able to kill the other party. However, he didn't expect that the 9th wave of killing intent would be released now. The 9th wave of killing intent pierced through heaven and earth. The terrifying energy pierced through all directions. One had to admit that this was the 10-direction ultimate killing formation. It was indeed incomparably terrifying. This wave of killing intent, even if a peerless almighty came, they probably wouldn't be able to contend against it. Buzz. Lin Xian naturally also felt the danger. The great dragon sword soul in his body kept roaring, and the dragon sword domain revolved around him. It merged with the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand. With a slash, it seemed to be able to destroy heaven and earth. In the sky, that wave of sword chi kept surging, turning into a long dragon and tearing the void apart. The surrounding sky kept collapsing. The terrifying energy swallowed the 9th wave of killing intent. Subsequently, the two dissipated in the void together. He blocked it. This kid actually blocked the 9th wave of killing intent. How exactly did he do it? The people below went crazy. They didn't dare to believe it at all. Xianfeng was also no longer calm. He quickly descended, and also came into the formation. In the next moment, he threw out 9 flags and hit the formation. The 9 flags flickered with mysterious demonic runes. Xianfeng's entire person was also incomparably ferocious. He quickly formed seals, forming one after another magical runes that revolved around him. At the same time, an unusually cold voice came from his mouth and filled the void. Chapter 2231. An unusually cold voice came out of his mouth, and spread across the rift. The 10th murderous aura, absolute kill. The last murderous aura of the absolute kill formation was finally unleashed. Along with Xianfeng's voice, the entire absolute kill formation shone brightly, and a terrifying force was formed. The expressions of the kings and almighties from the general's mansion changed. Their bodies trembled, and their eyes were filled with fear. That was because they felt a mysterious suction force under their feet that sucked away all the energy in their bodies. Damn it, what's going on? Why is this happening? These people screamed crazily. They could clearly feel that the energy in their bodies was quickly disappearing like flowing water. All of it was integrated into the absolute kill formation. This was completely different from when they activated the formation previously. Previously they were active, but now they were passive. The formation could actually absorb their energy. This was the first time they had seen such a strange thing. No. Damn it. Open up. Some of the weaker kings screamed crazily. Their faces were pale without a trace of blood. In fact, their bodies were on the verge of collapsing at any time. That was because the spiritual energy in their bodies had dried up. However, the devouring force did not disappear, and was still sucking them dry. They could not take it at all. Screams were heard as these people fell to the ground, without any energy in their bodies. Fortunately, although the formation had absorbed their energy, it did not endanger their lives. This made many people secretly heave a sigh of relief. However, they were still shocked. Lin Xian naturally saw this strange scene as well. He frowned. The 10th murderous aura was too strange. It was even more terrifying than the previous 9. Its power was even more powerful than the previous 9 combined. Boom. Boom boom boom. Boom boom. Between heaven and earth, terrifying vibrations were heard as murderous auras swirled in the sky. These murderous auras were too terrifying. They emitted an extremely mysterious aura that shook people's hearts. Buzz. Moreover, what was even more shocking was that the murderous auras that filled the sky danced in the sky and formed an inexplicable figure. That figure was very blurry, but if one looked closely, one could still vaguely make out that it was a human figure. However, it was too big and covered the sky. One could not see it clearly at all. There seemed to be a low voice coming from somewhere. It was like an ancient demonic sound, shaking everyone until their scalps went numb. Was this the final attack of the 10-directional killing formation? When the people from the general's residence saw this scene, they were extremely shocked. This was because they had never seen 10 attacks before. At that moment, after seeing it, they all cried out in surprise. This was truly a miracle in the world. Lin Xian also felt a terrifying sense of danger. That hazy figure caused the heavens and earth to tremble. Even the blood in his body began to tremble, as if it had been frozen. As expected of an ancient killing formation, it was indeed powerful. Lin Xian did not dare to be the slightest bit careless. The great dragon sword spirit in his body revolved, turning into a dragon shadow that coiled around his body. Wang. Incomparable divine light bloomed from his body, as if he was wearing a dragon-shaped armor. In fact, there were even dragon roars that resounded throughout the world. It collided with the mysterious voice in front of him, producing a thunderous sound. Damn it, what was that? King Lin Xian's dragon shadow aura was extremely shocking to these people. Tao of the Dragon aura. Damn it. How could he have the aura of the Tao of Dragon? Could it be that he was from the royal family? Impossible. How could he be from the royal family? These people were all crazy. The aura of the Tao of Dragon was a remarkable ability that only the royal family had. But the other party had actually used it. Moreover, the power was incomparably terrifying. This made them unable to believe it at all, as if they were dreaming. Who was this kid? He was too mysterious. Everyone was extremely shocked. They guessed that the other party was very likely to be from a certain dynasty, but his identity was too secretive. They had no idea at all. However, no one had ever thought of the Great Dragon Sword, because these people would never have thought that this was the Great Dragon Sword spirit. Perhaps other than the Golden Lion King, no one could have guessed it. Wang. The dragon shadow on Lin Xian's body continued to spread, coiling around the ancient Dragon Abyss sword and Lin Xian's entire arm. Wang. Lin Xian waved the ancient sword, and the aura of the Great Dragon Sword spirit erupted. A loud dragon roar resounded, sky-shattering. A terrifying heaven-grade sword technique surged out, turning into an eternity between heaven and earth. In the next moment, this eternity of sword light collided with the 10th murderous aura attack. Boom, boom, boom. Heaven and earth trembled, and terrifying energy blasted out in all directions. The void was instantly torn apart, and countless abysses appeared. It was pitch black and extremely terrifying. The general's mansion below also collapsed. A large number of palaces were destroyed. Even with the defensive array, they could not withstand it at all. At this moment, the entire general's residence was completely impacted. It was split into several pieces and split into several halves. Under the impact of this terrifying energy, Lin Xian kept retreating. He was also affected by the shockwave, and the blood in his body was tumbling. His face was pale. Fortunately, the dragon-shaped sword aura circled around his body, emitting a terrifying attack that cut off all the surrounding energy shockwaves. On the other side, Xianfeng and all the other King Almighties kept retreating. Their faces were filled with fear, and the blood in their bodies was tumbling. Those who were stronger could still preserve their lives, but those who were weaker were directly sent flying. There were even some who were hit by the blood mist. Most of them had their bones broken, and they spat out large mouthfuls of blood. This sword had severely injured all the King Almighties in the general's mansion. The terrifying energy was still surging, and the cracks between heaven and earth were still spreading. The 10-direction killing array below was spinning rapidly. Most of the murderous aura had collapsed, but some remained in the air, turning into vortexes that seemed to be absorbing something. Indeed, the blood below was all absorbed by these vortexes, and then they were absorbed into these vortexes. One should know that in the previous battle, the general's mansion had lost many experts. Their blood contained terrifying energy. Chapter 2232. The 10-direction death formation can absorb blood? He had never heard of it before. What is going on? Xianfeng was dumbfounded. At this moment, everyone in the general's mansion was stunned. What is going on? At this moment, everyone in the general's mansion was stunned. Lin Xian furrowed his brows as he watched this strange scene unfold. Beside him, the dark red divine dragon and the snow-white monkey came to his side. The dark red divine dragon said, "Kid, be careful. This formation is a little strange." Lin Xian nodded and held the ancient sword in his hand tightly. In front of him, the 10-direction death formation absorbed endless blood and kept rolling. A terrifying and monstrous blood chi gushed out, turning the entire void into a blood-red color. The void vibrated and a blood-red figure appeared. The killing formation of 10 directions emitted countless blood-colored mists, forming a blood-colored human figure that hovered in the void. Looking at the blood-red figure, Lin Xian's pupils shrank, because he realized that the blood-red figure was very similar to the blurry figure that had appeared before. But this time, it was not as huge as before. Instead, it was sitting there like a normal person. Around him, endless killing aura circled and turned into swords and sabers. "This is..." Lin Xian frowned. The dark red divine dragon's eyes flickered. The people in the general's mansion were also shocked. Why would a blood-red figure appear in the 10-direction death formation? What is the relationship between this figure and the killing formation? At this moment, Xianfeng exclaimed, "I know, this is the killer god shadow." "What, the killer god shadow?" the King Almighties exclaimed. They had never heard of it before. Xianfeng was extremely excited, and his body started to tremble. "That's right, the killer god shadow. It is definitely the killer god shadow," Xianfeng said excitedly when he saw the confusion of the people around him. Legend has it that the 10-direction death formation was created by an extremely powerful array grandmaster in ancient times. Legend has it that in ancient times, this array grandmaster was fortunate enough to see a shocking sword mark. It was said that the sword mark was very scary and did not dissipate even after 1,000 years. This formation grandmaster had studied the sword scar for 300 years and felt the aura on it before he created the 10 directions absolute death formation. What? 300 years of looking at sword scars? What kind of sword scar was this? How could it be so terrifying? After hearing this, These King Realm Almighties were extremely shocked. They stopped attacking and fell into deep thought. After all, there was a mysterious crimson figure in the void. The aura that it exuded was much more terrifying than all of them combined. On the other side, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon did not make a move either. The two of them also frowned. He also wanted to know where this sword mark came from. It was said that it was caused by the divine sword, one of the 5 swords of the world. I didn't believe it before, but now that I've seen this scene, I'm finally convinced. Do you see that blood-colored whirlpool? I think that sword scar was left behind by the heaven-devouring sword, one of the 5 swords of the world. What? Heaven-devouring sword? Did such a thing really exist? Everyone exclaimed. They had only heard of the 5 swords of the world in legends. However, no one had actually seen it. In the past few thousand years, it hadn't appeared in the world. In their opinion, it was just an ancient legend. But now, it seemed that this was not the case. Perhaps such a supreme being really did exist. On the other side, Lin Xian was also stunned. In fact, he was even more shocked than these people. He did not expect this 10-directional fatal formation to be related to the heaven-devouring sword, one of the 5 swords of the world. One had to know that the heaven-devouring sword was in the hands of Wine Lord. Lin Xian had even experienced the power of the heaven-devouring sword before. He did not expect to see a formation related to the heaven-devouring sword again. Thinking of this, he was in a daze. He did not know how Wine Lord was doing. It had been a long time since he had heard from Wine Lord. When the King Realm Almighties of the general's residence heard that this formation was related to the heaven-devouring sword, they were all excited. Each of the 5 swords of the world was earth-shattering and terrifying. Legend had it that as long as one obtained one of them, one would become a supreme existence. One could imagine how terrifying they were. Now the 10-directional fatal formation was actually related to the heaven-devouring sword. Come to think of it, its power was definitely beyond their imagination. The blood-red figure in front of them was enough to prove it. The aura that he emitted made one's hair stand on end. In fact, many people almost knelt on the ground. Xian Feng's lips curled into a sinister smile. He knew that the kid was dead meat. Anyone who dared to go against such a formation would definitely die. Perhaps even the Almighties would not be able to escape. In the next moment, he and the other King Realm Almighties activated the formation with all their might. Buzz! The blood-red figure sitting cross-legged in the void opened his eyes. Buzz! 2 blood-red eyes shot out. The void in front of him shattered like a mirror. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon's faces changed. Their bodies shook, and they instantly left their original spot. Crack, crack, crack. The place where they were standing was also pierced and countless cracks appeared. There was even a pitch-black hole that kept shrinking. How terrifying. Behind them, the King Realm Almighties of the general's residence went crazy. Just one look was enough to shatter the void. This was definitely a god of death. That kid was definitely dead meat. Kid, how dare you go against the general's residence? Today is the day you die. Let's see how you fight back this time. No one in this world will be able to save you. These people sneered and quickly swallowed elixirs to recover their strength. At the same time, their eyes were fixed on the scene in front of them. In the sky, as the blood-red figure opened his eyes, the murderous aura became more and more terrifying. It made people want to kneel down and worship him. Lin Xian snorted. The dragon shadow circled around him like a god of war. The great dragon sword soul emitted light and blocked the terrifying murderous aura. However, his expression was extremely solemn. Humph, isn't it just a killing formation? What's so great about it? Lin Xian snorted. Do you think you can stop me just because you are related to the sky-devouring sword? It's just a sword mark of the sky-devouring sword. It's not even the real sky-devouring sword. What's there to show off? Lin Xian's cold voice sounded. On the opposite side, Xian Feng and the rest sneered. Kid, you are too stupid. You don't know how terrifying the sky-devouring sword is. The 5 swords of the world, each of them is a supreme existence. Its power is beyond your imagination. With your cultivation level, you can't understand it. So go to hell and slowly experience it. Xian Feng and the rest sneered. They looked at Lin Xian, as if they were looking at a dead man. Lin Xian, on the other hand, had a look of disdain. He doesn't know the power of the 5 swords of the world? What a joke! Chapter 2233. The Sword Spirit of the Great Dragon Sword. One of the 5 swords in the world was in his body. This was the sword spirit of the Great Dragon Sword. It was an offensive saint technique between heaven and earth. As for the blood-red figure, it was only related to the sky-devouring sword. In a real fight, it was no match for Lin Xian. Of course, Lin Xian did not dare to be careless. After all, the blood-red figure had absorbed the blood of countless experts. Its energy was indeed terrifying. In the next moment, he held the ancient sword in his hand, and the dragon aura on his body became even brighter. Today, let me break this formation of yours. I will let you know that there is nothing in the general's residence that can stop me. In the next moment, Lin Xian waved the ancient sword, and streaks of terrifying sword chi gushed out and slashed forward. He dared to make a move. He was courting death. Just you wait, he will be killed in an instant. The people below sneered. In the air, a few streaks of sword chi flew out. It was extremely terrifying, and like lightning, it continuously descended. When they arrived in front of the blood-red figure, the light in the blood-red figure's eyes became brighter and brighter, and an earth-shattering murderous aura erupted from his body. Accompanying it was the energy of countless experts. The blood-red figure was originally condensed from the blood of countless experts. At this moment, its power was truly terrifying. It was even more terrifying than the 10th streak of sword chi. Boom! In an instant, the sky full of sword chi was shattered and turned into nothingness. The terrifying murderous aura, mixed with the blood-red light, rushed in all directions. Among them, even more charged towards Lin Xian. Boom! Boom! Lin Xian was hit by the impact and kept retreating. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Seeing this scene, the people from the general's residence laughed complacently. Xian Feng's eyes were even colder. Humph, kid, so what if you are strong? In front of this killing formation, there is no way you can survive. The blood-red figure's eyes flickered. Although it was not a real life, there was a trace of mockery in its eyes at this moment. Humph! Lin Xian snorted and wiped the blood at the corner of his mouth. His eyes gradually became sharper. The power was not bad. It was indeed powerful. But so what? This little bit of power is not enough to defeat me. I'll show you what true power is. As he spoke, Lin Xian let out a furious roar as an unparalleled sword chi erupted from his body. A dragon-shaped shadow completely enveloped him. Then it let out a loud dragon roar. A terrifying battle prowess erupted from his body. At this moment, Lin Xian was like a god of war, unstoppable. Kill! With a furious roar, the heavens and earth shook. A terrifying sword light shot out from Lin Xian's hand and slashed forward. Boom! Boom! The red light that filled the sky shattered, unable to withstand the aura of the sword Dao. Below, Xian Feng and the other almighties were horrified. Many people trembled and knelt on the ground. Damn it! How could this be? How could this brat have such a powerful combat strength? They were all going crazy because they discovered that the other party's combat strength was like a bottomless pit that could be infinitely increased. Boom! There was an earth-shattering collision. The crimson aura that filled the sky was slashed apart. The terrifying aura of the sword Dao came directly above the crimson figure. It slashed down from the sky. Boom! The crimson figure raised a palm and blocked the terrifying sword chi. But in the next moment his palm was slashed apart. Not only that, half of his body was also slashed into two. What? How could this be? Seeing that the other party had slashed apart the illusionary figure, Xian Feng and the rest went crazy. Wasn't this the mysterious figure related to the sky-swallowing sword? He should be extremely terrifying. How could he be killed in an instant? They could not believe it. But in the next moment they were stunned. The reason for that was because the crimson silhouette that had been sliced in half was actually gradually healing itself. Then it was completely undamaged. Nothing happened. There was no injury at all. These people almost bit off their tongues. What kind of superpower was this? Immortal body. They were too shocked. With such a terrifying sword chi, even a peerless almighty would be killed if he was hit. However, The crimson figure was completely unharmed. That's great. This figure was not a real life. As long as the energy was still there, he would not be killed. An old man said in a deep voice. His face was full of excitement. And after the others heard, they also came to a realization. Indeed, this was condensed from the blood of a powerhouse. As long as the energy of the blood was not extinguished, the crimson figure could exist forever. Thinking of this, they laughed wildly again. Kid, so what if your sword Dao is powerful? You can't kill this crimson figure at all. When your strength is exhausted, there is only one outcome for you, and that is to be killed. Lin Xian also frowned. The other party could actually heal. It was indeed beyond his expectations. But so what? The great dragon sword soul destroyed everything. How could it be so easy to heal? Lin Xian did not make a move again. Instead, he looked ahead coldly. Sure enough, in the next moment, the crimson figure suddenly let out a roar. Then, the crimson light all over his body surged. That healed body split open again. Damn it! What happened? That kid made a move? Seeing this scene, the people from the general's residence in the distance were all stunned. They clearly did not see the other party make a move. So how could the crimson figure split open again? Could it be that the other party's sword chi was so fast that they could not catch it? But how was that possible? They could also see the sword chi of a peerless almighty. Unless the other party was an invincible king. However, this was simply impossible. Why was that crimson figure injured? They did not know, so they were all terrified. Roar! In the sky, the crimson figure roared crazily, letting out a thunderous sound. His blood-red body was split in half again. Fine strands of sword chi swam around the wound, preventing it from healing. That's right, this was the power of the great dragon sword soul. No matter how strong the other party was, how could it be destroyed? It's useless. Stop struggling. You can't resist my sword chi at all. Seeing that you are related to the sky-devouring sword, I can give you a quick death. Sword light erupted from Lin Xian's body again. He slowly raised the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand. Boom! Boom! However, although the crimson figure was split into two again, he did not die. He grabbed at the sky with both hands. Countless crimson lights streaked across, and hundreds of palm shadows covered the sky. Among them, countless palm shadows grabbed onto the 9 banners and waved them non-stop. The 9 crimson flags danced wildly in the sky. It caused a crimson wind to blow between heaven and earth. It whistled incessantly, as if an evil spirit was out. However, something even more shocking happened. The bodies of the powerful almighties in the distance suddenly exploded, turning into a bloody mist. Damn it, what happened? Chapter 2234. One of the almighties flew halfway, and his body exploded. Another almighty's was covered in armor and surrounded by 18 shields. However, he still could not block this mysterious power. Boom! His body turned into a blood mist. A series of explosions rang out as powerful beings exploded one after another. As for the people around them, they immediately went crazy. The timid ones were scared out of their wits. Some directly knelt on the ground and kept kowtowing. As for the more powerful ones, they all roared madly and unleashed defensive techniques without any regard for their lives. Xianfeng's face was gloomy. He roared crazily. Damn it, why? Why did it turn out like this? He could not understand why the crimson figure would attack them. Weren't they in the same group? In the blink of an eye, the 9 almighties exploded and turned into blood that danced in the sky. The blood did not flow but gathered around the crimson figure and integrated into the body of the crimson figure. It emitted an even more terrifying energy. The crimson figure absorbed the energy of the almighty's blood. The body that was split into two started to heal. It actually used the blood of the almighties to forcefully erase the power of the dragon sword soul. On the opposite side, Lin Xian saw this scene and was shocked. He realized that although the crimson figure was not a real life, it actually had intelligence and knew how to make use of the blood. He had to admit that it was beyond his expectations. He felt that he had to get rid of the crimson figure quickly. Otherwise, if the crimson figure absorbed enough blood, it would definitely be a huge problem. Just as Lin Xian was about to make a move, something strange happened again. because the crimson figure had absorbed the blood of the 9 almighties and erased the aura of the dragon sword soul, causing the broken body to heal again. However, this was not the end. A crimson palm instantly pierced through the void and grabbed Xianfeng behind. Ka! Xianfeng's head was grabbed by the crimson palm. He screamed and his eyes were filled with fear. Damn it, get lost. In the next moment, a majestic energy surged out from his body. Boom, boom, boom. The space around him exploded. However, it was useless. In front of the crimson palm, his cultivation as a top almighty was nothing. You can't kill me. Xianfeng screamed in fear. He was no match for the other party. As for the other king almighties in the surroundings, their faces were filled with fear as they retreated continuously. Wang. The blood-red palm did not kill Xianfeng. Instead, it grabbed him and tore through the void, arriving beside the blood-red figure. What are you trying to do? Xianfeng's voice trembled. Originally, he wanted to use the bloody figure to kill Lin Xian, but this sudden situation made it impossible for him to control it. He didn't even know if this blood-red figure was a blessing or a curse for the general's residence. Wang. The bloody figure did not answer at all. He turned his head and fixed his red eyes on Xianfeng. When Xianfeng and the red eyes met, he felt like his soul was shaking and his mind was blank. He fell into a daze as he stood in the void. His eyes became blank. At this time, the blood-red figure's body began to melt and gradually entered Xianfeng's body. What was going on? Everyone went crazy. Could it be that the blood-red silhouette wanted to devour Xianfeng? Thinking of this, their scalps went numb. When Lin Xian saw this, he harumphed coldly and slashed out with the ancient sword in his hand. Rays of sword chi slashed forward. He would not let the blood-red silhouette have his way. However, the blood-red silhouette was too fast. In an instant, the blood-red figure had completely entered Xianfeng's body. Wang. Xianfeng's sluggish eyes instantly turned sharp and red. 2 rays of red light, like a long knife, slashed the void and collided with the sword chi in the sky. Ah! Xianfeng also roared to the sky. The terrifying sound wave shattered the 9 heavens. His black hair had also turned blood-red, and blood-red patterns had appeared on his body, covering his entire body. A terrifying blood-red aura swept across the universe. Boom! The explosion of energy was too powerful. It actually blocked Lin Xian's sword chi. Boom, boom, boom. The two collided in the air and disappeared at the same time. On the other side, Lin Xian frowned. On the other side, Xianfeng stood in the void. He looked at his hands and clenched them tightly. Then, a cold smile appeared on his face. Is this the body of a human? It is indeed magical. Hearing these inexplicable words, everyone was stunned. Was this still Xianfeng? Or is this the blood-red silhouette? They did not know that the Almighties were all looking forward in fear. Xianfeng looked around, and finally fixed his eyes on Lin Xian. Suddenly, his eyes shone with a terrifying light. What powerful blood chi! I feel that there is a mysterious power in your body. If I can get your body, I will be perfect. Xianfeng stared at Lin Xian. His eyes shone with excitement. It was obvious that he had set his sights on Lin Xian's body. Lin Xian harumphed coldly. How dare you be arrogant in front of me? Go to hell. Lin Xian's sword chi exploded, and the ancient sword in his hand shone with a terrifying sword light. The terrifying sword shadow slashed forward. Boom! Heaven and earth trembled. The sword chi in the sky exuded an unparalleled aura that seemed to be able to destroy heaven and earth. The ancient dragon abyss sword also transformed. It grew bigger and turned into a huge dragon. The sword runes on it shone and trembled. It seemed to be very excited because it had not drunk the blood of an expert for a long time. On the opposite side, Xianfeng smirked. In the next moment, boundless blood-red light wrapped around his palm, and he grabbed forward. The blood-red runes on his palm were emitting a terrifying aura. The palm covered the sky and earth, as if it was going to grab the entire world in its hands. Buzz! Kill them all! Lin Xian roared. On the ancient dragon abyss sword, the first rune of the 9 mysterious runes was automatically unsealed. Boom! The power of the ancient dragon abyss sword exploded. The terrifying sword chi was as dazzling as the sun. Not only that, the power of the great dragon sword soul poured into the ancient dragon abyss sword. causing it to become unusually agile. It was as if a huge dragon was moving in the sky. Boom! In the next moment, the two collided, and an unparalleled power exploded. The sky was shrouded in light, and nothing could be seen clearly. The entire general's mansion was shrouded in light. Ah, damn it! At this moment a scream was heard. It was filled with endless anger. That was because the blood-red hand had been slashed by the terrifying ancient sword. Cracks appeared on it, and they continued to expand. Boom! In the end the entire palm collapsed. Not only that, a terrifying sword aura surged up the arm and chopped it off. Boom! 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 Xianfeng held his severed arm and retreated. On the other side, Lin Xian was also hit by the terrifying energy. Although he had the protection of the dragon-shaped sword shadow, the impact still forced him to retreat. He even spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood. In the sky, the energy became even more violent. It formed countless turbulence and covered the entire space. Below, the kings and almighties of the general's mansion stared at it with sharp eyes. At the same time, they were extremely nervous. What was going on? Chapter 2235. Those martial artists in the general's mansion were extremely nervous. How was the situation? Who won and who lost? Very soon they saw it. But at the same time, they also screamed, because they realized that Xianfeng was actually injured again. This was too unbelievable. They knew that the current Xianfeng was no longer the Xianfeng from before. It was the Xianfeng after being swallowed by the crimson figure. The power was absolutely terrifying, reaching the realm of an unparalleled almighty. But even so, he was actually injured by someone. Even his arm was chopped off by the other party. This scene was indeed hard for them to believe. When they looked inside, they were also shocked. They realized that although Lin Xian was injured, it was not fatal. Lin Xian was indeed injured. So he hurriedly grabbed a large amount of heaven and earth treasures and elixirs and swallowed them. The art of long life revolved quickly, absorbing these elixirs to repair his body. His body was tempered by various heaven and earth treasures and immemorial demon blood. It was incomparably tough. In addition to the powerful recovery ability of the art of long life, even if he was injured, he could recover quickly. Moreover, with the dragon-shaped sword shadow on his body, the injury he suffered was actually not too serious. So very soon, he snorted coldly and charged over again. On the opposite side, Xianfeng's face was gloomy and incomparably ugly. He realized that his severed palm was actually unable to heal. This made him unable to believe it. Damn it, how could this be? The current Xianfeng's face was filled with madness. One had to know that the broken body previously, he could heal it. But now he actually could not heal his arm at all. There was not even a trace of possibility. What was going on? Those people below also had a look of astonishment. At this time, an old man frowned and said, "Could it be that because the original blood turned into a living human, so it could not heal?" Hearing this, many people came to a realization and increasingly felt that it was possible. Because previously, the crimson figure was just a mass of energy. As long as the energy was still there, it could be immortal and indestructible. But now, it swallowed Xianfeng and turned into a human from an energy body. With life, although the strength was stronger, there were also more restrictions. At least, it was impossible to be immortal and indestructible. So now that it was injured, it could not heal at all. Damn it! Xianfeng naturally knew this as well. That was why his body was filled with blood-red qi. A blood-red figure was struggling to get out of Xianfeng's body. However, how could Lin Xian give him this opportunity? Wang! A dragon-shaped sword shadow surged out from his body, and then appeared in the void, fusing with the ancient dragon abyss sword. Boom! A terrifying dragon-shaped sword qi slashed out. No! Xianfeng roared in front. That bloody figure also roared crazily, wanting to increase the speed of escaping. However, the power of this sword had far exceeded his imagination. Before he could escape, he was enveloped by the sword light. Boom! Boom! The entire sky was enveloped by the world of sword Dao, and countless sword qi pierced through all directions. Boom! A figure fell from the sky onto the ground. Everyone glanced at it, and their scalps went numb. because this figure was Xian Feng. At this moment, he had been split into two halves. Blood gushed out from his body, and he was no longer breathing. The crimson figure on his body was also slashed to pieces. This time, the slash was very thorough. It turned into a rain of blood that covered the sky and sprinkled on the ground. Dead, all of them were dead. Regardless of whether it was Xian Feng or the crimson figure, they were all killed by this sword. Demon! He's a demon! Everyone run! Looking at this scene, everyone fled in a frenzy. In the sky, Lin Xian's face was a little pale. He grabbed some pills again to recover. At the same time, the dragon-shaped sword shadow returned to his body. After fighting for so long, he had used up more than half of his stamina. Fortunately, he had many treasures, so he could still hold on. Ruffian Dragon, how's your harvest? Lin Xian turned his head and asked. At the side, the dark red divine dragon said, We've robbed enough. It's enough. That's good. Let's go. Lin Xian nodded, then strode forward. Since they had already robbed the general's residence of all the treasures, there was no need for them to stay. Now they had to quickly leave through the super teleportation formation. Otherwise, when General Xian Ying and the other super mighty arrived, it would be difficult for them to escape. Seeing that the other party wanted to use the super teleportation formation, many people screamed in horror and quickly reported to General Xian Ying. Tell him to come back. We have to catch this kid. General Xian Ying was not in the general's residence but the palace. The general's residence and the palace were millions of miles apart. If General Xian Ying wanted to come back, he would not be able to do so in a short period of time unless he used the super teleportation formation. And it would take some time to send a message. Therefore, the time was enough for Lin Xian and the others to leave. Boom! The ancient sword slashed down mercilessly. Anyone who dared to block his path was killed mercilessly. He strode forward like a god of death. Behind Lin Xian, the dragon sword realm rolled and turned into a vortex. It also absorbed the surrounding energy to replenish his stamina. At the same time, there were a few divine crystals floating in it. Lin Xian had put them in to replenish his stamina. This won't do. I can't contact the general. He might be out and not in the palace. In a corner, a few elders quickly sent voice transmissions with ugly expressions. They had already sent a message to the palace, but there was no response. It seemed that General Xian Ying was not in the palace, but they did not know where he went. Damn it, the general can't come back. We can't stop this kid at all. What should we do? We can't just watch him use super teleportation to leave, right? But if this kid teleports away, he'll definitely leave the dynasty. It'll be difficult to find him in the future. And all of us will be sinners for letting him go. At that time, it'll be difficult for us to survive. Their expressions were ugly. At this moment, an old man with a walking stick gritted his teeth and said, This matter is too serious. We can't let this kid escape. Let's use the general's residence's foundation. What? Do we really have to use that thing? But that thing is too precious. There's no other way. The situation is very special. I think the general will forgive us after we use it. As long as we can capture this kid, everything can be made up for. These elders quickly discussed. Their eyes flickered, and finally gritted their teeth and agreed. Then Well used the foundation of the general's residence. The general's residence, other than these mighty experts and peerless experts, also had a powerful foundation. Usually, they would not use it. They would only use it when the general's residence was facing a life and death crisis. This kind of foundation was a secret trump card. Every time it was used, it would be used. Therefore, they would not use it if they could. But now they had no choice. Lin Xian had already forced them into a desperate situation. If they did not use it, the other party would probably escape. Let's go and ask for the foundation. All of you stop him for me. You must not let him escape. Chapter 2236. Let's go get the foundation. All of you stop him. Don't let him escape. The old man with the walking stick roared angrily. At the same time, he rose into the air and blocked the way. The other three old men rushed into the depths of the general's residence. It seemed that they were going to get the so-called foundation. How dare you come again? You're courting death. Looking at the cultivators gathering in front of him, Lin Xian snorted coldly. He did not expect these people to still dare to block the way. Were they not afraid of death? In the next moment, he waved his ancient sword, and a terrifying sword chi surged forward. The old man with the dragon-headed walking stick roared angrily. Everyone formed another formation to resist. Boom, boom, boom. These people kept retreating, but the formation did not break. Lin Xian was surprised. He did not expect these people to still have such an exquisite formation. It seemed that the general's residence was indeed extraordinary. But so what? He had to leave today. So no matter how exquisite the formation was, it could not stop him. Boom! In the next moment, he used his sword technique again, and the sword chi was even more terrifying than before. Boom, boom, boom. Cracks appeared in the formation in front of him. Many King Realm cultivators vomited blood, and the old man with the walking stick also turned pale. A crack also appeared on his dragon-headed walking stick. Obviously, he could not hold on much longer. Elder, are you still not done? The people behind him asked. The old man with the dragon-headed walking stick also had a gloomy expression. He said, "Wait a little longer. Our foundation will appear soon." Humph. You're courting death. Seeing that the other party still dared to block him, and did not retreat, Lin Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. In the next moment, the sword chi in his body surged again, and became incomparably huge. It was about to slash down. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, an earth-shattering sound came from the depths of the general's residence. Countless lightning bolts fell, and the sky was filled with light that shot into the clouds. The scene was so terrifying that it attracted everyone's attention as soon as it appeared. Lin Xian also frowned, and looked into the distance. The dark red divine dragon beside him also screamed. Damn, could it be that a natural treasure has appeared? He was indeed surprised, because this scene was similar to the appearance of a rare treasure. No, be careful. This aura is a little strange. Lin Xian, on the other hand, shook his head. He knew that it was impossible for this to be some kind of treasure. It was likely that the people from the general's residence had activated some kind of mechanism to cause this. Could it be that the general's residence still had some trump cards? In the distance, the sky was filled with golden light. The scene was very strange. In addition to the light that filled the sky, there was also a shocking power that was rapidly recovering. This power was extremely terrifying. As soon as it appeared, it surged in all directions. The entire general's residence was enveloped. Those King Realm Almighties were all trembling, and they couldn't help but want to kneel down. When Lin Xian saw this, he frowned as well. In the next moment, he snorted coldly and attacked. A beam of sword light slashed through the air like a vast ocean, slashing forward. The dark red divine dragon beside him also made its move. He stretched out a dragon claw, which blotted out the sky and slammed forward. Naturally, he also felt the danger ahead. They would not allow such a threat to happen. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying sword light slashed down and landed on the golden light, causing a huge tremor. The dark red divine dragon's claw slammed down mercilessly, tearing the void apart. In an instant, the front was flooded by violent energy. Not good. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. They didn't expect these two to be so decisive. They actually attacked at this time. Then, wouldn't their foundation be threatened? Damn brat. Stop it. Many people roared crazily, but it was useless. The terrifying energy in front of them exploded and swept in all directions, forcing the King Realm Almighties to defend themselves. The King Realm Almighties' faces were gloomy. They were afraid that their foundation would be damaged. However, they soon heaved a sigh of relief. This was because after the aftermath of the energy dissipated, the terrifying golden light did not disappear. Instead, it became stronger and stronger. It was like a sun rising high up in the sky. Seeing this scene, all of them became excited. The old man with the walking stick laughed arrogantly. There was a sinister look on his old face. Ha 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 ha. The old man laughed loudly. You're dead meat, brat. The others also had sinister smiles on their faces. How dare you cause trouble in the general's residence? This time, no one will be able to save you. Do you really think that the general's residence is so easy to bully? Just wait and see. The foundation of the general's residence is about to be revealed. Kneel down and accept your death. Many people laughed sinisterly. Lin Xian also frowned. His attack, and the dark red divine dragon's attack, did not destroy the other party. It did not even cause the slightest impact. What exactly is this thing? Brat, be careful. This thing is very strange. At the side, the dark red divine dragon also frowned. This was because even he felt threatened by the thing in front of him. There were very few things that could threaten him. He really couldn't understand what it was. However, in the next moment they saw it. The golden light rose high up in the sky. Within the golden light, there was a scroll. A golden scroll. What is this? Lin Xian frowned even more. In the distance, the old man with the walking stick suddenly knelt on the ground. The King Realm Almighties behind him all knelt down, requesting the imperial decree. The old man shouted loudly. The King Realm Almighties behind him shouted like a tsunami, requesting the imperial decree. Buzz. The golden scroll emitted a bright light. Then it slowly opened. Buzz. When he opened a small gap, a terrifying light shot up into the sky. The power became even stronger. It made people's hearts beat wildly. This was only a small gap. One could imagine how terrifying it would be when it was fully opened. Brat, do you see this? This is the imperial decree of the general's residence. Its power definitely surpasses that of the Almighties. What do you have to fight against us? Causing trouble in the general's residence is the biggest mistake you have made in your life. Little brat, just obediently die for me. I will use your blood as a sacrifice to the general's residence. Although the Almighties were kneeling, they let out sinister laughter. This was because they knew that the imperial decree was their treasure. It was given to General Xian, Ying by the current emperor. It was something left behind by an invincible king. No matter how strong that brat was, how could he fight against it? Sure enough, the golden imperial edict in the sky opened, and 4 simple and unadorned words appeared on it. Heavenly gift, Xianing. Every single one of the 4 words was incomparably dazzling. They were like the sun, blooming with brilliant radiance. The energy contained in it was extremely terrifying. Even the Almighties could not fight against it. This was the aura of an invincible king. Chapter 2237. The dark red dragon was extremely shocked. He said, "Kid, be careful. This is something left behind by an invincible king. It contains mysterious power." Lin Xian also frowned and took a deep breath. An invincible king was in existence even more terrifying than a peerless mighty figure. Moreover, from the looks of it, this imperial edict was not left behind by an ordinary invincible king. It was very likely left behind by the current emperor. Such a person had lived in the palace for many years and absorbed the dragon vein of the earth. He had already reached an extremely terrifying realm. Every move of his could cause a phenomenon in heaven and earth. Not to mention these words that were specially bestowed to generals. There was definitely a terrifying energy contained within, and it even contained the will of an invincible king. No matter how powerful a peerless mighty figure was, he could not fight against the will of an invincible king. As expected, when the 4 glowing golden words appeared in the sky, all the King Realm Almighties below began to tremble. Deep fear appeared in their eyes. They even felt a pressure on their souls, as if they would be extinguished at any time. "Kid, go to hell." Angry roars could be heard as the golden imperial edict in the sky slowly descended. The 4 words on it emitted a dazzling light like a golden sword that could pierce through the void and kill a peerless mighty figure. Everyone's faces were filled with madness. They knew that this kid was definitely dead. No one could resist this imperial edict, because it contained the will of an invincible king. Boom! As expected, the place where Lin Xian was instantly exploded. It could not withstand this power at all. The terrifying aura caused Lin Xian to furrow his brows. He instantly summoned a dragon-shaped sword shadow and circled around him. On the other side, the dark red dragon's body was also glowing. Dragon blood surged, forming a powerful defense. Boom, boom, boom. It was as if there were thousands of mountains above them, forcing them to quickly descend. Boom! As the dark red dragon's body descended, cracks appeared on their bodies as if they had been struck by lightning. Blood flowed from the corner of Lin Xian's mouth, but his eyes became brighter and brighter. They were like two divine lamps that were about to break through the sky. Kid, don't take it head-on. The dark red divine dragon let out a long roar. The dragon's roar rang out, rolling forward, resisting the will of the invincible king. However, he couldn't resist it at all. Although he was a dragon, he was now just an ordinary almighty. Compared to an invincible king, the difference between the two of them was too great. It was like a chasm between heaven and earth. Was this the power of an invincible king? He was indeed very powerful. Although Lin Xian was injured, he wasn't afraid. Instead, a trace of hot blood boiled in his body. It seems like my path of martial arts is still very long. One day, I will also become an invincible king. Lin Xian clenched his fists. He had a goal in mind. I must become an invincible king as soon as possible. Only then would he be able to suppress a part of the world. In the distance, those people were laughing maniacally. Brat, accept your fate. It's impossible for you to resist. This was the will of an invincible king. Go to hell. Go to hell and repent. When those people saw that Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon were injured, they laughed crazily. They knew that it wouldn't be long before the two of them collapsed and turned into clouds of blood mist. You want to kill me? Not so easy. Not even the will of an invincible king. Lin Xian sneered. He had already felt the will of an invincible king and knew where his path of martial arts should be. Therefore, he wasn't prepared to fight head-on. In the next moment, he waved his palm, and a ball of white light appeared in front of him. He actually wanted to fight against the will of an invincible king? He really didn't know what was good for him. Seeing that Lin Xian still wanted to resist, those people sneered. However, they were soon stunned. That was because they realized that the aura emitted by the ball of white light was extremely terrifying, causing their souls to tremble. Its power was actually not weaker than the Golden Imperial Edict at all. Damn it! What was that? Those people were extremely terrified. They suddenly raised their heads and looked forward. They saw that within the ball of white light, there was a white bone that was only the size of a finger. The bone was incomparably white, like white jade, and it flowed with the radiance of divinity. As soon as it appeared, it crushed the void and brought about an endless gust of wind. The surrounding void instantly collapsed, and cracks swept in all directions. A terrifying force pierced through heaven and earth. Lin Xian gently took off the white bone and said coldly, "So what if it's the will of an invincible king? Today it'll break the so-called invincible king." Boom! The white bone in Lin Xian's hand suddenly erupted with incomparable power. This was the power of a sage. Although an invincible king was powerful, he was still a king. However, a sage was an existence that surpassed the king realm. There was an entire realm between the two. That was the true difference between heaven and earth. To be honest, the imperial edict of an invincible king was very terrifying. No one below the invincible king level could resist it. Even a peerless mighty figure couldn't resist it. However, those people from the general's estate had never expected that Lin Xian had an even more terrifying trump card. That was the bone of a sage. Anything related to a sage was extraordinary and beyond common sense. It had reached an unimaginable level. In the next moment, Lin Xian unlocked a seal on the bone of the sage. Boom! An incomparably terrifying aura of a sage rushed out and spread in all directions. The void collapsed in an instant, unable to withstand it at all. In front of him, the endless golden light was also impacted and quickly retreated like the sea. Damn it! What happened? Impossible! Heavens! I don't believe it. Below, the powerhouses of the general's estate all went crazy and were dumbfounded. Those elders were even more shocked and couldn't believe it. What did they see? The will of an invincible king, the Golden Imperial Edict, was actually retreating. This made them feel like they were dreaming. That was the Imperial Edict of the Emperor, and it contained the power of an invincible king. It was extremely terrifying. In the world, probably only a true invincible king could resist it. But now such a powerful treasure was actually retreating and seemed to be trembling. What exactly was that white thing? Could it be that it had surpassed the invincible king level? They didn't dare to imagine. They only felt that the young man in front of them was incomparably mysterious and impossible to guess. Perhaps it was a huge mistake for the general's estate to provoke such a young man. Boom, boom. However, they didn't have time to think too much. When the pressure of the bone of the sage's hand was released, heaven and earth collapsed. Even if the Golden Imperial Edict contained the will of an invincible king, it couldn't withstand it at all. Damn it! Hurry up and put it away! The old man with the walking stick shouted coldly. He had already seen that even if he took out the Golden Imperial Edict, he wouldn't be a match for the other party. It was very likely that it would be damaged by the impact. In that case, he might as well put it away quickly. Chapter 2238. In the next moment, the three elders faced the sky and resisted the powerful pressure. They wanted to put away the Imperial Edict. However, Lin Xian sneered. Why? You want to stop now? It's too late. As he spoke, he unlocked the second seal. Boom! The pressure of the sage's hand bone increased again. A terrifying storm spread in all directions with the hand bone as the center. Boom! 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 The sky collapsed and the ground cracked. Nothing could withstand it. The experts and mighty figures below were sent flying. They vomited blood. The weaker ones were directly blown into a bloody mist. The Golden Imperial Edict was the first to bear the brunt of the impact. Cracks instantly appeared on the surface, and the four simple and unadorned characters collapsed with a boom. Boom! 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 The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Then, the Golden Imperial Edict split in half from the middle and turned into countless flames that burned fiercely. Finally, it disappeared into the sky. What? The Imperial Edict was destroyed. How is that possible? Everyone went crazy. They did not expect that the foundation that they were so proud of would be so fragile. In front of the other party, it didn't even manage to launch a single attack before it was destroyed just like that. In the end, it turned into a pile of waste paper and fell to the ground. They could not believe it. At the same time, they felt a deep sense of despair. Among them, the elder with the dragon-headed walking stick was covered in blood. He screamed loudly, "Damn it! How dare you destroy the Imperial Edict? You're dead meat. You're blaspheming His Majesty. No matter where you run to, the Tai dynasty will not let you go." Noisy! Lin Xian snorted coldly and flicked a ray of sword qi, which instantly pierced through the elder's head. Meanwhile, he controlled the sage's hand bone and was domineering all the way. Wherever he passed, nothing could stop him. The general's residence was now in ruins. Only the place where the super teleportation formation was still intact. That was because Lin Xian deliberately left it there. He would not destroy the super teleportation formation. When he got close, Lin Xian sealed the sage's hand bone again. His face was slightly pale. At that moment, he only had 1/5 of the spiritual power in his body left, and would soon be exhausted. Fortunately, the entire general's residence had been destroyed to pieces. Under the pressure of the saint's hand bone, there was no one who could contend against him. Soon, the dark red dragon stepped forward and activated the formation. Then Lin Xian threw out a few divine crystals. The entire super formation shone brightly as countless runes flickered. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon stepped onto the super array. At this moment, the dark red divine dragon transmitted its voice. "Kid, this teleportation array can send you in 3 directions. One of them was the Imperial Palace, while the other 2 were from other dynasties. Julie and Yinshang. Go to Julie." Lin Xian transmitted his voice. Then, the dark red dragon waved its hand, and endless runes wrapped around the 2 of them. Whoosh! In the next moment, the 2 of them teleported away and disappeared. As for the surviving martialists in the general's mansion, they shrieked hysterically when they saw this scene. "Quick! Hurry and find the general. Be sure to report the news to him." These people were crazy. They spared no expense to transmit the news. They also contacted the Crown Prince and the Empress. After all, Lin Xian's escape was too big a matter for them to bear. The Imperial City. This was the center of the Tai dynasty. Its territory was vast and boundless. In the Imperial City, there was a drunken immortal tavern that attracted all the beauties in the world. It was said that even immortals did not want to leave. In the drunken immortal tavern, the largest room was surrounded by spiritual energy. It was like a fairyland. Beautiful women danced in front of it, and spiritual tea and spiritual fruits were placed casually. There were a few figures sitting inside, tasting wine and watching the dance. Among them, there was a young figure. He was wearing a yellow robe with a 5-clawed golden dragon embroidered on it. If anyone saw that, they would definitely scream in shock. That was because only the members of the imperial family could wear the yellow robe. Moreover, ordinary members of the imperial family would not dare to wear it. Only the crown prince or the emperor would dare to wear such a robe. Of course, that young man was neither the emperor nor the crown prince. He was the crown prince. The crown prince drank while hugging 2 beauties in his arms. He said in a deep voice, "How's the defense of our 12 main cities?" Next to him, a middle-aged man smiled and said, "Don't worry, crown prince. The 12 main cities are heavily guarded. We've sent a large number of experts to guard them. Anyone below the invincible king level will be courting death if they enter. As long as that kid rushes to the 12 main cities, we can take him down in minutes." Another old man also said. They were hugging beauties in their arms, and their faces were filled with smugness. At that moment, another dignified middle-aged man also spoke. "Don't worry, crown prince. The trap this time is perfect. That kid will definitely not be able to escape." The dignified middle-aged man was General Xianying. They no longer set up the inescapable trap. They were only waiting for news. Therefore, at that moment they were not worried. Instead, they were here to have fun. When the crown prince heard that, he laughed smugly. His eyes were shining with a terrifying light. "That's good. When I capture that kid and send him to the war tribe, they'll see how he dies." The 2 beauties in his arms also laughed along with him. Bang! 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 However, at that moment, there was a series of hurried knocks on the door. Hearing that sound, the crown prince frowned. The other people inside also frowned. One of the middle-aged men said coldly, "What's the matter? Don't you know that the crown prince is here? Didn't I say not to disturb him?" Reporting to the crown prince, "The matter is urgent, and we have no choice but to report it." The crown prince quickly replied, "What's the matter? Where did the news come from? Did that kid get caught?" The other old man also asked quickly, "It's indeed about that kid. However, what? Hurry up and tell me. I don't know either. I only know that the news came from General Xianying's residence. And it even reached the palace. They used 3 urgent secret orders." "What? It came from General Xianying's residence?" Hearing that, those people were stunned. "That's not right. If it's about that kid, shouldn't it come from the 12 main cities?" They were extremely puzzled. General Xianying's face darkened, and a hint of coldness appeared in his eyes. "Come in. Where's the secret report? Give it to me." He had a bad feeling, so he had to quickly verify it. The door opened, and a guard quickly walked in. He knelt on one knee on the ground, and held a jade slip with both hands. General Xianying waved his hand, and grabbed the jade slip. Then he opened it. Streams of information turned into streams of light, and entered the space between his brows. In the next moment his face darkened, and a sharp light burst out from his eyes, instantly tearing the void in front of him apart. Not only that, a terrifying murderous aura rose from his body and enveloped the surroundings. Sensing that murderous aura, the crown prince frowned. The others' expressions also changed, and their bodies were even trembling. That was because the Xianying general was too terrifying. "Uncle, what happened?" Seeing that scene, the crown prince hurriedly asked. "Could it be that the kid escaped?" "That's right, great general. What happened?" The others were also puzzled. They had never seen General Xianying so angry. Chapter 2239. General Xianying did not say anything. He waved his hand, and the jade slip floated in the air. Countless rays of light appeared. Then a heart-wrenching voice was heard. "General, our general's residence has been destroyed by that kid. He took the super teleportation array and escaped." "What?" Hearing that, everyone was dumbfounded. The crown prince's eyes widened in disbelief. These people were really dumbfounded. What did they hear? The general's residence was destroyed? That kid escaped. Heavens, how is that possible? Damn it, we miscalculated. That kid did not go to the 12 main cities, but went to the general's residence. That's right. Other than the 12 main cities, only the general's residence and the prince's residence had super teleportation arrays. However, both the prince's residence and the general's residence were extremely heavily guarded. Ordinary people would not dare to cause trouble there. They did not expect that kid to be so bold as to go to the general's residence. That was impossible. The general's residence was so powerful that even a peerless mighty figure could not break in. How could that kid enter? These people discussed animatedly. They did not quite believe the news. The crown prince also frowned. He pushed away the two beauties in his arms and stood up. Uncle, the news should be fake, right? To be honest, he did not quite believe it either. What kind of place was the general's residence? How could they let that kid leave? However, General Xianying's expression was gloomy. Let's go back to the general's residence to take a look. It was useless to say anything now. He had to hurry back and take a look at the situation to find out. Uncle will go with you. The crown prince was also worried. After all, this matter was very important and related to whether he could become the crown prince. Therefore, he had to make a trip personally. Let's go together. The middle-aged men and old men also stood up one after another. The group of people left the Drunken Immortal Inn and quickly arrived at the palace. They used the super teleportation array and returned to the general's residence. Buzz! The array flashed. When they appeared, they looked at the surrounding ruins in shock. How was that possible? The general's residence had really been destroyed. The middle-aged men and elders were shocked and could not believe it. Around them, palaces had collapsed and the ground had cracked. The surrounding mountains and trees had all fallen. There was nothing intact at all. If there was one place that was intact, it would be the super teleportation array beneath their feet. Other than that, everything else was destroyed. Blood splattered all over the ground. The pungent smell of blood made these people frown. One could imagine how tragic the previous battle was. Damn it, why was it like this? The first prince's face was also dark. The scene before him indicated that there had been an earth-shattering battle. It was possible that the other party had escaped. General Xianying's expression was incomparably ferocious. This was his residence, and now it had been destroyed to such an extent. How could he not be angry? The surroundings of the general's mansion were filled with corpses. There were also some surviving martial artists who were meditating and recuperating. When they saw General Xianying, the first prince, and the others arrive, they all stood up and cried in agitation. General! Crown Prince! How? Kill, kill, kill. Kill. These people roared crazily. They were injured and their expressions were incomparably ferocious. General Xianying shouted coldly. Where was Xianfeng? Where? Where were the magic crystal guru and the four symbols kings? See. He was enraged. Really enraged. Although he was not in the general's residence, the general's residence had countless super killing arrays and two peerless powerhouses. And a terrifying foundation. As long as it was not an invincible king who came personally, no one could take down the general's residence. However, the current scene left him in a daze. The surroundings were destroyed beyond recognition. Therefore, he had to find someone to ask clearly. General, we are here. Light flashed. The demonic crystal guru and the four symbols kings came out. The two of them were also covered in injuries. Their faces were pale without any color. What was going on? Even these two peerless powerhouses were injured. Those middle-aged men and old men who followed behind felt their scalps tingle when they saw this scene. The crown prince's expression was even uglier. These two were peerless powerhouses. They were injured too. How many people did that brat bring here? What was that brat's background? How could he possibly have so many powerhouses? However, the demonic crystal guru and the four symbols kings laughed bitterly. That brat did not bring any powerhouses. Only him and a flood dragon. And a little white monkey. Other than that, there was no one else. What? One man and two demons destroyed the entire general's residence? How was this possible? Could it be that those two demon kings were 8-star demon kings? An 8-star demon king was equivalent to an 8-star human king, which was also the realm of a peerless powerhouse. In their opinion, only such an existence could destroy the general's residence. However, the two peerless powerhouses shook their heads again. No, none of their cultivation surpassed that of a peerless powerhouse. They were probably all in the realm of a peerless powerhouse. They were all in the realm of a peerless powerhouse. These newcomers were all crazy. Heavens, how was this possible? The crown prince's expression was even gloomier. Damn it! He gritted his teeth in anger, but there was nothing he could do, because previously, the other party had successfully killed the Golden Lion King. It could be said that the other party's methods were very powerful. He did not expect that he would destroy the general's residence now. At this moment, General Xianning asked in a deep voice, "Where was Xianfeng?" As soon as these words came out, all the warriors in the general's residence fell silent and lowered their heads. General Xianying's expression was even gloomier. What was going on? Where was he? Ask him to come out and see me. Lord Xianfeng had been killed. An old man said in a low voice. What? He was killed. The crown prince and the rest were stunned. Xianying was even more stunned. Then, a sharp light burst out from his eyes. He roared at the sky, shattering the surrounding void. Damn it! What was going on? How could he be killed? He was killed by that brat. These people roughly explained the situation of the 10 Directions absolute kill formation. Hearing this, General Xianying and the rest's expression became even gloomier. The 10-directional death array was infamous. Even a peerless powerhouse could not withstand it. But now, the other party had broken through it. He even killed his younger brother. He deserved to die 1,000 times. Damn it, where was that brat? I must capture him. I must tear him into pieces. General Xianying's killing intent was overflowing. Previously, he wanted to capture the other party to give the war tribe an explanation. But now he was doing it for himself. His general's residence was destroyed. His younger brother was killed. It was all because of that brat. Therefore, he must capture him. That brat escaped using the super teleportation array. The warriors in the general's residence quickly said, "What? He really escaped?" Hearing this, the few old and middle-aged men were stunned. The crown prince and General Xianying's expressions were extremely gloomy. Chapter 2240. Facing the first prince's anger, these people trembled in fear. However, they could only say helplessly, "That kid is too strong. Even if we use all our strength, we won't be his match." What about your foundation? Didn't you use your foundation? Do you know how important that kid is? You could have used your foundation. General Xianying also asked in a deep voice. His murderous aura, accompanied by his voice, constantly surged in the air. Black holes appeared in the void one after another. We've used our foundation, but we still can't stop that kid. At that moment another old man said. These words were like a bolt from the blue, knocking them unconscious. General Xianying, in particular, was even more shocked. He couldn't believe it. What did you say? Even our foundation can't stop that kid? How is that possible? That's the Emperor's imperial edict that contains the will of an invincible king. How can a kid like him withstand it? Not to mention him, no one below the invincible king level could stand up to him. The first prince's voice was like thunder. To be honest, when they heard the news, the first prince and the others were about to go crazy. They couldn't believe that someone could destroy the Emperor's imperial edict. General Xianying's face was also gloomy. He gritted his teeth and asked, "Damn it, what's going on? Tell me clearly. Don't tell me a single word." Soon, the kings of the general's residence began to explain the entire process. They recounted all the details. Half an hour later they finished. After General Xianying, the first prince, and the others heard this, their faces became even gloomier. They didn't expect the other party to have so many trump cards. Especially at the end, when they heard that the other party had only used a white bone to destroy the Golden Imperial Edict, they exclaimed in shock. That was because it was too heaven-defying, too dreamy. They couldn't believe it. "General, what should we do now?" An old man asked. General Xianying snorted coldly. What else can we do? We have to capture that kid. Wait here, he'll return to the palace now. How dare he destroy the Golden Imperial Edict? This is no longer a provocation to the general's residence. This is contempt for the emperor's authority. He'll report this matter to the emperor. Don't worry, no one can save him. Even if he left the Tai dynasty, he could still kill him. After that, the first prince, General Xianying, and the others left the general's residence and used the teleportation formation to return to the Tai dynasty's palace. The empress was already waiting, and the elders who supported the first prince were also gathered here. They had already heard the news about the general's residence and were discussing it nervously. When General Xianying and the first prince arrived, the elders all stood up one after another. Among them, the empress' eyes flickered. She asked, "How is it? Did that brat really escape?" He had indeed escaped, but he had also committed a heinous crime. He had actually destroyed the Golden Decree. Humph! This is the contempt of the royal family. The imperial family will never let him off. An elder coldly snorted. The other elders' eyes flickered. I remember that your super teleportation formation in the general's mansion can teleport to 3 places. One of them was the imperial palace. The other 2 places should be Jiuli and Yinxiang. That was right. General Xianying nodded. The imperial palace can be ruled out. As for the other 2 dynasties, we will send people to search. At the same time, I will report this matter to His Majesty and ask him to send an army. Also, tell Zhan Wuhan of the war tribe about this. That brat is very strong and has many trump cards. I think it's best to let the war tribe's experts deal with him personally. All right, I'll make arrangements now. The empress also nodded and prepared to tell Zhan Wuhan personally. In an instant, everyone split up and took action. As for General Xianying, he strode towards the Grand Imperial Hall. Soon an imperial decree arrived. The world was shocked. Because of this imperial decree, the hunt for Lin Xian was once again announced. This time, it wasn't just the entire Tai dynasty, but the entire middle ground. Moreover, this time they didn't want him alive. It could be said that if he was alive, they wanted to see his corpse. Even if he was killed, bringing him back would still be a meritorious service. One could imagine that His Majesty was really angry. When the imperial decree came out, the world was shocked. The entire Tai dynasty was abuzz with discussion. They didn't expect that Lin Xian would do such an earth-shattering thing again. It couldn't be helped. The destruction of the general's residence was such a big matter that it couldn't be hidden. In an instant it swept across the world. When the 8th prince received the news, he was both happy and worried. He was happy that Lin Xian had finally left the Tai dynasty. This way, the other party's danger could be said to be reduced by a lot. However, what worried him was that although Lin Xian had left, he had caused a torrential rage. In fact, his father even issued another imperial decree. Moreover, this time, the reward was even more generous. This was the wrath of the emperor, and it would probably be difficult to calm down. Therefore, at this moment, the 8th prince also gathered a group of elders to discuss in the palace. A few of the elders said, 8th prince, don't worry about that kid. He'll probably find a place to hide after leaving the dynasty. He'll come out in a few decades, and by then, the storm will have disappeared. Therefore, as long as he hides carefully, he won't be in danger. However, I think we should set up a plan. If this matter implicates you, I'm afraid the first prince will use it as a pretext to make a fuss. Yes, after all, you're just a prospective crown prince now. You can only relax when you become the real crown prince. It was obvious that these people were worried that the first prince would attack them. In short, because of Lin Xian's departure, the entire palace was in an uproar. Even the entire dynasty was excited. Countless experts went to the Ninli dynasty and the Yinxiang dynasty to capture Lin Xian. General Xianying even mobilized a large group of experts in the name of the imperial decree to go to the 2 dynasties. Moreover, their targets were very clear. This teleportation formation was sent in 2 directions. One was the Ninli dynasty's Wanrun city, and the other was the Yinxiang dynasty's Baiyun city. Thus, they all began to teleport toward those 2 cities. Ninely Dynasty Wanrun City. A huge teleportation formation suddenly shone brightly. Seeing this, a few martial artists who were in charge of guarding the teleportation formation frowned. They were puzzled. What was going on? They hadn't received any orders to teleport over recently. One of them was holding an array badge, and his eyes were flickering. This aura came from the Tai Dynasty's general's residence. Tai Dynasty, what are they doing here? They didn't receive any orders. These martial artists were discussing animatedly. However, at this moment, a light flashed, and then two figures appeared. Chapter 2241. In front of them, a light flashed and two figures appeared. Stop. Who are you? Seeing the two figures appear, they regained their consciousness and wanted to leave. The martial artists shouted coldly. However, the two figures ignored them. As soon as they appeared, they circulated all the spiritual power in their bodies to eliminate the dizziness. Then, they rose into the air and prepared to leave. Stop. Do you have a teleportation token? Are you from the Tai Dynasty's general's mansion? What's your purpose here? Why didn't you inform us in advance about the cross-country teleportation? Angry roars came one after another. However, there was no answer at all. Only a cold snort answered them. The blood in their bodies churned, and their faces turned pale. When they came back to their senses, they found that the two people had already left. Damn it! Those two people's identities were unknown. Hurry up and report to the city lord. These martial artists could not delay any longer. They quickly reported what happened here. At the same time, they sent some martial artist guards to track them down. However, those guards soon returned empty-handed. Because the other party's speed was too fast, they could not catch up at all. However, they still reported the news. After all, it was a cross-country teleportation. If there was any danger, they would have to bear all the responsibility. They did not dare to bear such a sin. As for the two mysterious silhouettes, they quickly left. Those two people were Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon. They finally left the Tai Dynasty through the super teleportation formation and arrived at the Ninely Dynasty. However, they did not dare to delay. That was because Wanrun City was not safe. As long as the news spread, the people of the Tai Dynasty would definitely know that they were teleported here. Therefore, they had to leave quickly. Thinking of that, the two of them quickened their pace and walked out of the city. However, as soon as they arrived on the street, they saw that the crowd on the street was moving. Countless figures kept running. Obviously, they were very flustered. Not only that, the ground under their feet and the city walls in the distance all lit up with runes. Rays of light flickered, emitting terrifying power. The city is sealed. Don't go out. Stay in the city and don't move. At that moment, a cold shout came from afar. The person who spoke was an expert. His voice was very clear and spread far and wide. Hearing that, those people became even more stirred and kept running into the city. In the distance, even more martial artists were surging over. Seeing this, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon frowned. What was going on? The city was sealed. Could it be that they had been discovered? Or had the people of the Greater One Dynasty already made their move? Damn it, their speed is too fast. The two of them had ugly expressions, because they couldn't help but be suspicious. They had just arrived and had yet to leave, but the city had already been sealed. It was obvious that they were trying to capture them. Damn it, these guys are too fast. The Crimson Dragon gritted its teeth. Lin Xian also snorted coldly. He checked his divine gems and treasures. Finally, he said, if there's no other choice, we'll use the Black Earth to rush out. In short, he could not be surrounded by them. Just as the two of them were discussing via voice transmission, a furious roar suddenly came from the front. The two of you, what are you standing there for? Either you go out and resist, or hurry up and run inside. Don't block the way here. Hearing this, Lin Xian and Lin Xian frowned. What was going on? The situation didn't seem right. They didn't seem to be trying to capture them. Outside resistance? What resistance? Thinking of this, Lin Xian said, Brother, I'm sorry. We just arrived and don't know what happened here. You just arrived? The middle-aged man looked puzzled. He carefully sized up Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, then shook his head and sighed. Then you guys are really unlucky. Don't you know that there is a beast tied outside? How dare you come here at this time? Young man, I advise you to hurry up and run into the city to take refuge. This beast tied is very fierce. It probably won't disappear for a few months. Beast tied? Hearing this, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon frowned. It turned out that there was a beast tied outside. Then the city gate was sealed to block the beasts, not to capture them. Phew. They breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you, brother. Lin Xian thanked him, and then left with the Crimson Dragon. Kid, what should we do? Now that the city is sealed, we can't get out. The Crimson Dragon asked. And if the other party also used a super teleportation array to come in, then we'll be trapped in the same city. Indeed, this was what Lin Xian was worried about, so he said. I also thought of this. So let's hurry back and destroy the super teleportation array, so that they won't be able to teleport over in a short period of time. The Crimson Dragon nodded. This was the only thing they could do. Otherwise, if the people from the Tai dynasty were to teleport over, then the situation would be bad. Although they didn't know that the Tai dynasty had issued an imperial edict, they knew that destroying the general's residence would definitely provoke a monstrous anger. This time, the people who came to kill them would definitely be stronger and more terrifying. Therefore, the two of them had to quickly destroy the teleportation array here. This way, the other party wouldn't be able to teleport over. The two of them moved quickly and rushed in the direction of the teleportation array. This super teleportation array was located in a more remote area in the west of the city. There were martial artists guarding the area to prevent anyone from getting close. Not only that, because of the incident between Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, the city lord sent a large number of soldiers over to strengthen the security. What should they do? There were more of them. The Crimson Dragon and Lin Xian stood in the distance and watched, their eyes flickering. Lin Xian thought for a moment and said, How about this? I'll use the Great Dragon Sword Soul to simulate a few demonic beasts to lure the soldiers away. Go and destroy the array. You don't have to completely destroy it. Just make it so that they can't teleport over. Okay, let's do that. The Crimson Dragon nodded. He was an array master, so it wasn't difficult for him to destroy the array. As long as Lin Xian could lure the soldiers away, he could destroy the super teleportation array. Buzz! Buzz! Lin Xian waved his hand, and a black robe appeared on his body. The Crimson Dragon's body was covered in layers of chaos, covering his real face. Both of them didn't want to be exposed, so they hid at all times. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm, and countless energy gathered. Under the effect of the Great Dragon Sword Soul, they turned into demonic beasts. Roar! A golden lion rushed out from his fingertips and landed on the ground, roaring nonstop. At the same time, a black crocodile that was dozens of meters long appeared in the void, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Other than that, there were also a winged tiger, 3 demonic wolves, and a terrifying giant snake. In an instant, more than a dozen demonic beasts appeared. These demonic beasts weren't real. They were energy bodies. It was just that the Great Dragon Sword Soul had imitated Su. Those who didn't know the details wouldn't be able to tell. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.